From the cradle to the grave, life is tough. From the beginning to the end, the road is rough. But there's something you should always keep in mind. Take comfort in what comfort you can find. Oh, a life without passion I couldn't bear. Glasgow Celtic's my passion, I declare. And for this I make no apology, for it's always been Celtic with me. I with some it's the horses, I've no doubt. With others it's the whiskey and the stout. With some it's every pretty girl they see. Well, it's always been Celtic with me. Others people now say that I'm insane, just because I've never missed a game. Be it wind or rain or hail or sleet or ice, I've yet to miss a game at Paradise. And all the money that I've spent going abroad, all the money that I never could afford, well, I spent it all in right good company, for it's always been Celtic with me. Out with some it's the horses, I've no doubt. With others it's the whiskey and the stout. With some it's every pretty girl they see. Well, it's always been Celtic with me. Right from the very start, you got into my heart, you see. Was it for better or worse? Was it a blessing or a curse? It's all the same to me. And when I shuffle up this mortal coil, and my body it is planted in the soil, well, don't you play a dirge over me. Give me a Celtic song, a Celtic symphony, and I'll look down each Saturday from above, from heaven on the paradise I love. And with St. Patrick I will sing a verse or three, for it'll still be Glasgow Celtic with me. With some it's the horses, I've no doubt. With others it's the whiskey and the stout. With some it's every pretty girl they see. Well, it's always been Celtic with me. With some it's the horses, I've no doubt. With others it's the whiskey and the stout. With some it's every pretty girl they see. Well, it's always been Celtic with me. With some it's the horses, I've no doubt. With others it's the whiskey and the stout. With some it's every pretty girl they see. Well, it's always Celtic.
Hail, hail, and welcome to HomeBhoys number 52. My name's David Harper, and you're more than welcome this fine Monday evening. Happy to say, on the line, I've got Mr. Jason Higgins. You there, Jason?
I'm here, mate. Hail, hail.
And across in sunny Edinburgh, Mr. Paul Larkin, the green and white writer.
Good evening.
Evening, Paul. You'll maybe be wondering where Jaws. I just want to tell you, I had a few complaints last week about him. So he's gone. He's an ex-homeboy. That's I phoned him up and we had some strong words on the phone, and in a bit he's gone. He's not be back. Like,
he's got strong words constantly.
Nah. Joe's got some kind of he's got a family business thing on tonight, so he can't make it. If he gets back later on, he'll maybe Skype in, but at least he'll be sober. You know what I mean? Because we did get a few complaints last week, not too many, about some industrial language, shall we say, egged on by Mr. Higgins, I have to add. But I did put a wee disclaimer in the show notes last week, so people were warned, but we'll try and keep it as clean as possible. But you know yourself, you're sitting here, you've had a few bevies, starts to get a bit passionate, word will slip it, do you know what I mean? And as we said last week in Ireland, you'd hear that in the the morning radio show anyway. So let's just get bashed on. It's weird to be back on Monday nights so quick, I suppose, when we just had the show last Thursday. You would think there's not that much to talk about, but we'll see how it goes with the Inter game at the weekend, which I hope one of you've seen, because I certainly never. We'll have a wee look forward to the Helsinki game, the Aberdeen game. I've got a new weekly segment I'm going to introduce later called Huns on the Run, and we'll have a wee competition as well to win a couple of books. So that's it. So, Inter Milan, Saturday. Jason, Paul, who's going to take it away?
On you go, Paul.
Aye, it was a good game. Good performance. Team looked sharp. Inter Milan played quite well in patches. I mean, a lot of players I didn't think we'd see, like Schneider and Milito and that, who I was desperate to have a look at in the flesh, so to speak. And they were quite impressive in spells as well. But I thought, Commons looked really fit, sharp. Samaras looked good again. Wanyama was head and shoulders above everybody in the park. And I think that, it was a kind of scabby goal we lost at the end when we were down to 10 men and most of the good players have been taken off and stuff. So, I was pretty pleased with a good competent performance against an excellent side. I think that we mentioned, myself and Jason on Thursday, about the pre-season thing, and I think that we're now starting to see the pre-season build into a sort of crescendo that's gone into the competitive first game on Wednesday, and so hopefully the performance level will be at fever pitch by Wednesday.
It's I wasn't on the show last week and I heard you talking about it, and I'm pretty much of that. If the Inter Milan game had been a 3 o'clock kickoff on Saturday, I would have seen it, but I had a couple of things I needed to do and I wasn't putting them off just to watch a friendly at 1:30 because they're not that important. But on the other side of that coin, when you think about it, these are our only games before going straight into a European tie, a very, very important European tie. Which it really does drive home the point that maybe we should be looking at, because the league reconstruction is coming, I've no doubt about that. We should maybe be looking at trying to start a league at least a month before going into these European games, because we're going to get caught cold again, because it's hard to judge in these friendlies, because the thing is, right, you get beat for Ajax 4-0 and the ceiling's coming in on everybody. Do you know what I mean? Then you draw one each for Inter Milan and you're world beaters again. But the thing is, you don't know how far into a pre-season Ajax are. That's probably Inter Milan's maybe one of the first games. You don't know how they are fitness-wise and that. So you can't judge, because the team you're playing against isn't going full wettle either. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I never seen the Inter Milan game at the weekend, but I was kind of expecting that the lineup would be pretty much as close to what it would be for the game against Helsinki. What was the lineup, Paul?
It was pretty much as full strength as you'll find, you know what I mean? With the normal full-backs, normal goalkeeper, Lustig and Mulgrew in the centre, and then I think the only one at the midfield that you'd probably say might have a chance of playing Scott Brown. I'm not really sure about the state of that. I believe he had another operation in the summer and they're kind of to monitor him. Kyle wasn't there, and then Stokes and Hooper up front. Probably James Forrest, probably the only one other one would have a chance. I would say the only thing that really concerned me in the game was that we're still not really firing up front, you know. It's Stokes and Hooper. I know Stokes went off in that. Hooper doesn't seem to be at full pelt yet. It's noticeable if you take, say, Samaras, who obviously played 4 games European Championship, played the full 90 minutes in Oyram. He looks much more fitter than everybody else in the team, you know. I believe in these circumstances, guys like that playing in European Championships or World Cups don't even dare pre-season because they're just at that level already. And he just looks head and shoulders right now above everybody. I know what you're saying exactly about where we are and all that, because we've been in this position so many times. 2 years ago, Utrecht, 2-0 comfortable home win, you get annihilated away from home and stuff. And that would be my concerns. For what I've seen so far, would definitely be the centre defence and the strikers. And the strikers in particular are going to have to be up to speed, because we're going to have to score a few goals on Wednesday, I think. I do think that the following week in Helsinki will probably be slightly easier than the home game, given that will be another week doing the road of preparation. We'll have played a competitive game. But, in all honesty, I'm sort of half and half about where the team is now in terms of where we should be for our preparation and all that. But there's probably still a couple of two things to iron out. But then I suppose you probably expect that at this time of the season, you know.
Yeah.
Jason, sorry, on you go.
Oh no, it's just it's a great point you make, Harper, about the pre-season and bringing the season forward for a month, because it makes no business sense. And we're on about radical changes of the game, but it makes no sense for us to start our season. And let's face it, we are now in the realms of getting straight into the Champions League, or straight into, for our third and fourth teams to get straight into the Europa League. So we're coming in right at the start, and seasons to hinge when we haven't even started playing competitive football. It's lunacy. So, and we're competing our next door neighbours, the biggest spending league in the world, and we run the exact same timeline as them, give or take a week or two. So, it's got to change. But as for the Inter Milan game, I was just more worried about Commons and Stokes getting sort of took off. Hopefully they'll be alright for Wednesday night. As I say, training session for me, but as predicted, I thought we'd perform slightly better there than we did against Norwich. Just like a gradual progression. So we've not got any surprises in the team. We know what the team can do for last season. So just fingers crossed for Wednesday night, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's it, Jason. I think it's just a build up. It's just a build up of getting back into the swing of it. The players themselves know results didn't matter pre-season and all that kind of stuff. They're no daft. You seen John Hartson tweeting the night of the Norwich game. He says, I hated pre-season games. He says, as a player, we knew you could read nothing into the performances. It's just about individual guys building up their fitness. And I was interested to hear, I was listening to the Temporary Stand podcast this morning, and they were talking about this, and the boys were saying what they'd heard was prior to the Ajax game, they hadn't done any ball work at all in training. It was just all running and fitness, because they felt in previous seasons going into these early European ties, we've been flat-footed and we've been slow. So I mean, we know the ability of the guys, and I think it's just game time. But really, it's about getting the fitness to where it should be. Do you know what I mean?
Well, maybe obviously Lennon's went through pre-season with Martin O'Neill and Gordon Strachan, and historically we haven't done great in Europe. In recent times. So obviously maybe it is a radical change was required, and if you're not getting competitive games, then as he says, if the fitness is the thing that's coming to question, then that's what you need to concentrate on. But because the last thing you need is like halfway through the second half of they die on their feet.
See, I've always been a big advocate of summer football. Ever since I moved to Ireland, when I stayed in Scotland, I was totally against it. My argument was totally against it. When I moved to Ireland 6-7 years ago and started following Drogheda, and it's summer football here, and I've completely came around on that, right? And if you look at Irish teams in Europe, their fortunes have completely changed since they switched to summer football. I'm not saying that it's only Irish football, they're no world beaters, but you saw what Shamrock Rovers done last year. Drogheda United themselves were 5 minutes away from qualifying for the Champions League against Dynamo Kiev a couple of seasons ago. I seen Henrik Larsson playing for Helsingborg against Drogheda United. Irish teams have pushed on in Europe since they switched to summer football. And I didn't want to get into a big debate about summer football tonight, because that could go on forever. But I mean, if you look at Helsinki, without drifting too much away from the Milan game yet, because we'll come on to Helsinki obviously, but they're 19 games into their season. 19 competitive league games into their season. That's not including any cups they've played in that in their pre-season. So, I mean, it's hard to go straight in. And Helsinki are no mugs, man. They're second top of the league. They're a decent team. They're probably the hardest team we could have got out of all the teams that we could have got at this stage.
Definitely. No, well, I think that, the fitness has got to be a leveler. No matter, to what I believe that there's definitely the weaknesses that can be exploited. And I know a journalist was over watching them at the weekend, and he was like, "You'll hump them easily." And I was like, "Hi, right." He says, "No, honestly, they're not that good." But the fitness thing is going to be a leveler. Also, I totally agree. And again, nobody I used to be able to summer football. I totally agree. And it actually struck me about the summer football thing that surely that's got to be the answer to the TV deal. When Sky and ESPN are going to show any old crap during the summer to fill their schedules, Scottish football could just jump into that void and get, a decent deal that people could watch and stuff. the thing about this is a huge game on Wednesday, but I don't think whatever happens on Wednesday, the game's finished. You know, if we win 3-0 on Wednesday, I don't think that's it. We're definitely through. Same if we got beat 1-0. I mean, the obvious comparisons have to be things like when we played Moscow Dynamo, got beat 1-0. It was dreadful home game, etc. And I went over there and beat them 2-0, which was no mean feat whatsoever. But we were a week behind us in that. And you know, if you're saying about the fitness things are changing, then good, because I think. Celtic, a bit like the Republic of Ireland in the summer, we get caught early so often in these kind of games that you want to just be able to go bang straight away. I think that in the past, we're all about 70 years old on this show. We all remember Celtic in the 80s and stuff, where teams used to just say to themselves when they came to Celtic Park, if we get through the first 20 minutes, we've got a small chance, because Celtic would just go out and batter them. And then Strachan sort of changed that philosophy where, we passed teams about the place and hoped their match winners would win the game in the last 20 minutes. Tommy Burns hoped to just run a team ragged and score last minute winners and stuff like that. And now we're in a different way where we try to pass our way into the game, And then the way that we Celtic play at the minute, I would liken it to obviously not at the same level, but the way Man United play, which is to pass and wait for the opposition to make a mistake. And funnily enough, Man United was a lot of goals early as well. So it's so important for us to bed our way into that game and get the crowd behind us on Wednesday. And because I genuinely believe that we'll put in a far better performance in the second leg. So if we can take anything for the first leg, I'd be quite confident in qualifying.
It's funny you mentioned Moscow there, and that was under Tony Mowbray. And we had a pretty good pre-season that year. And then we had the great result in Europe, and we thought we were going on to big things. And it's funny, there's a wee similarity in that game in that when we go to Finland, they also play on an artificial surface.
All right.
They do.
So I don't know how many of our players have actually. We've got a lot of young guys in the team. You don't know how many of them have actually played a proper game on an artificial surface. I know they have it at Lennoxtown indoor and all that kind of stuff, full-size pitches and all that. But that could be, as you're saying, the fitness could be a big leveller. The fact that they play their home ties on an artificial surface is another leveller. Like you just don't know how players are going to react to that and how they're going to play on it. So that'll be interesting. In fact, when you think on that, I really wish the first game had been away, so that we could have dealt with whatever. And as you say, it could go either way in the first game. Will be another couple of games down the line for the second game, and I really wish the second game was at Celtic Park where we knew what we had to do and we didn't have to deal with that artificial surface and all that. Jason?
I'm the opposite. I'd like the first leg at home because I just think when you're talking about the Utrecht game and stuff like that, by the time you come back, you're out. And there's Armida Bratislava and things like that. When you're away from home and things go against you, you can fall apart. We touch wood. I don't want to absolutely craw this, but we very rarely fall apart at home in Europe. And so you're thinking to yourself, at least we're going to be in the tie. I'm fully expecting us to qualify, but if we don't, I'll be absolutely devastated. But you're saying to yourself, at least we'll be in the tie for the second leg. For me, it's just it's imperative that you keep a clean sheet. It's even 0-0. This shows you the difference with European football than it was when you were a kid. Because remember, see if you get a 0-0 away from home, you were celebrating. Remember years ago, you seen them punching the air and that, walking off the park at a 0-0 or losing 1-0. They were all delighted. But it's the demographics of European football. That teams they just look at it now as a park. And when you're playing away from home, your goals count for more than they do at home.
Right.
So the amount of games you've seen get overturned, they lose the game at home, win it away and stuff like that. Obviously, we don't do that too often. But I think it's just imperative that we keep a clean sheet, like a 1-0 or something like that. I would take that now and take it over there. But as long as we keep a clean sheet, I think we've always got a goal in us. Because I do think we're not a bad side. I wouldn't say we're a world-beating side, but we're not a bad side.
I would say... Sorry, Paul, but I would say... Sorry, on you go, Paul. Sorry.
No, all I was going to say was, even when we lost to Moscow Dynamo 1-0 at home, you see yourself in the second leg, as soon as we scored the first goal, the whole thing changed.
Yeah.
And Moscow Dynamo suddenly were
panicking.
What do we do? Because it's like you find yourself. I recall when we won 3-1 in Ajax, and then we come back, they scored a goal, and you're suddenly sitting there going, what the hell do you do now? You know, it's a really hard thing to sort of go through, and it's say like, oh, aye, a 0-0 away. I mean, I can remember, you know, if you go beat 2-0 away from home in Europe, you'd be sitting on, we'll beat them at home anyway, you know.
Well, we lost 2-0 to Sporting Lisbon, beat them 5-0 at Parkhead, you know. In games like that, I mean, we regularly, obviously we beat Ajax 2-1 in Amsterdam years ago, but we regularly lost like 1-0 and stuff like that, and we overturned it at Parkhead all the time. We lost 2, I was in Cologne, we get beat 2-0 there, beat them 3-0 at Parkhead, you know, and...
Rapid Vienna when we lost 3-1 away and then won home and stuff. You just expected that because there was that thing about it's a European night, it's floodlights, see, like, you know,
there was something magical about the place.
But you know, but it goes back to the thing though. The difference between the games then and these games now is this is our first game of the season. Do you know what I mean?
Aye, so what would that have been then? See with the European Cup when it was just like the winners of the league getting in. When would your first game been? You must have been about 4 or 5 league games under your belt.
Easily.
Aye.
I mean, it is a big difference with all these qualifying rounds. I don't know what you think. I mean, I was reading at the weekend whether these numbers are right. This isn't a season ticket game, is it?
It is, aye.
Well, I was reading that there's 50,000 tickets sold, so I don't know how that computes in if it's a season ticket game.
I think they just said there was less than 10,000 available.
Right, so I mean, there's going to be a decent crowd, and I think the crowd has a big part to play. Obviously, you're going to get the Green Brigade backing anyway, but I think fans are going to have to realise this is our first game. Helsinki are no mugs. They're probably going to make it very difficult for us, and the crowd are going to have to be very, very patient because we've seen it before. When the crowd can get on the team's back, it can affect our players quite badly, I think. So as long as the crowd can stay patient on Wednesday night, I think we'll do all right. Like
the vast majority of Celtic fans' realisations are more realistic now. I would think their expectations are far more realistic than they were years ago. Years ago, you turned up in European games and you fully expected to win. I think nowadays we've been embarrassed, for want of a better word, quite a few occasions in Europe. I don't think many fans, you still get the old guys and some of the boys that just like it's unrealistic their expectations, but I think most of us were right. The one European game that sticks in my mind for a flat atmosphere was the Boa Vista home game. That was see a semi-final. I think Aberdeen was just panicking. You know, it was just you wanted to win that much, and by drawing, it was just.
But Jason, what I'm maybe saying, it's not so much the expectations. I think there's become a kind of ingrained culture with a lot of people with the moaning and groaning. Do you know what I mean? A few passes go bad and you hear it through the stands. And it's not necessarily panic or stuff like that, or people expecting that we're going to go out and hump this team. People just start moaning and groaning when they see bad passing, things like that, and moves breaking down a lot. And if that happens a lot in the first 20 minutes, half hour, I think that could affect the play quite a bit.
Well, that's just a fact of life, mate, because the fans feed off what's happening in the park.
But that's what I'm saying, so I want them to be patient because you've got to realise this is our first competitive game against a team that's well into their season.
Aye, but I'm not expecting any boos whatsoever. I mean, I would never boo a Celtic player, but I'm talking about for the atmosphere-wise, obviously the Green Brigade, they'll be bouncing whatever happens. But for the rest of the stadium, if it's a good game and we're flying, the place will be bouncing. If it isn't, then the atmosphere will be a bit subdued. But I'm not saying people will be getting on players back, but they'll just not be as up for it as if there was flowing moves, cracking goals getting in and stuff like that.
That's all I'm worried about is people getting on players' back, especially if the likes say because there's Kelvin Wilson. His season's already over. If you read comments, like, do you know what I mean? If he was to start on Wednesday and seemingly he's going to be fit, he missed the game at the weekend with a niggle, right? He's going to be available. I don't think he will be picked, but if he was picked, somebody like him, he makes a couple of mistakes early doors, and the fans will be on him because he's already been singled out as the scapegoat for this season. Whether he likes it or not. Do you know what I mean? And that's things like that's a worry. Like,
we used to always say the fans are worth a goalie a start, and I mean, I remember reading a story about Maradona when he went to Napoli, and the manager told him when he first signed him to have a shot for the halfway line every time he got the ball in the first minute. First touch the ball, shot for that, and the crowd had gone mental right away. And it was like a goalie a start for Napoli. And I agree. I mean, there is this. I mean, whether we like it or not, there are guys who go to games and they shuffle in, they go to the pie stand first, arse about going to their seat and all that kind of thing. they've got to be in there for a kick-off, roaring it on for the start, getting the huge roar for the huddle and making Helsinki realise, listen, this is Celtic football club we're playing here, they're no mugs. You know, this is a European giant, a football club, and you know, I'm not. You've got to. I mean, I remember Martin O'Neill had a go years ago when we lost a goal to Basel in the first minute, which ended up with a Seville run. He's like, well, half our crowd were still walking in the stadium and we were now doing because we had become a bit blasé. So on the flip side, as Jason just said, we're only that good now in terms of that side, so we need the fans more than ever.
And I think as well, see, we sort of take it for granted because we're Celtic fans and we've been at the stadium countless times and been to so many European ties, but in a worldwide scale, we're one of the stadiums that's revered in Europe for its atmosphere. I kind of don't see it. I just sort of take it for granted, but I look at some like continental games, you'll see games in Turkey, games in Greece, and I just say to myself, that is mental, you know, that atmosphere is wild, but we're spoke about in the same sort of the same sentences on a European scale that some players that came to visiting teams and they've said, what an atmosphere, you know, it's hairs in the back of the neck stuff. So,
do you know what I think that is, Jason, though? See, when you talk about, like, say, Galatasaray and that, and I know what you mean, because I think that as well, and you look at their fans and they're just bonkers, right? But it seems to just be a constant noise, if you know what I mean, right? And I think what a lot of players relate to when they come to Celtic Park on a big European night is when it's like, you'll never walk alone. And it's a song, and it's like when you hear a national anthem sung, and it's an entire crowd singing it, and there's nothing else but that song, right? These words, and that's kind of what makes the hair stand up on your neck, and it's stuff like that. I think that gets through to players. Do you know what I mean? It's the intensity of a song rather than just a constant buzzing noise, like.
And I think, see if MD sits in like the old main stand. I mean, I'm up in the north, but if MD's sitting in the old main stand, that's when you get the full atmosphere, because that full stadium, it's impressive running about you. And whenever they start getting behind the team, it's what a racket it makes.
Well, I think the Celtic supporters are absolutely fantastic when we think we've got a chance of getting beat. You know, I think Harper sees right at the start. A lot of people look at it now and be going, "Oh, because Helsinki will fucking put 6 past them and that'll be it." No. But if it's somebody, an AC Milan or a Barcelona come, everybody's up for it and they go for it right away. And that's how it has to be on Wednesday, because it's not the case of, well, there's a chance of getting beat. Of course there is. It's a game that we just cannot get beat, you know, because this is going to shape our whole season.
Right, we've been joined on the line there by Krauski. Is that right? Am I pronouncing that?
Aye.
Right, man.
Cheers for having us on.
Just before I bring you in, man, right, I just want to, just while we're still on Helsinki, right, I've got a wee thing here, a wee few stats, I just want to read it. Is it the Helsinki game you want to talk about?
Aye, that's it, mate, aye.
Right, so just let me go through this, and then I'll get your views first. So Helsinki, they're 19 games into their season. They're currently second top in the league in goal difference, Inter Turku just above them. They've played 19, won 10, drew 3, lost 6. Their last game they lost 1-0. Their last 6 games, so they're on a loss, win, loss. So they're no bad form. Their average 2.8 goals per game, and their top goal scorer is Juho Makela, who's 29-year-old, and he scored 7 goals this season already. And I can't remember this boy, but he's an ex-Hearts player. 2006, 2009, he played 20 times for Hearts and only scored twice. But he must be a bit of a Helsinki hero, because this is his, including one loan spell, this is his fourth time at the club. So he's in 137 games, he's scored 68 goals, which is a goal every second game. So I think he's obviously going to be the boy to watch. He's also an international with Finland. He's only played 8 times for the country, right enough. But so I mean, they're no mugs. I think they are one of the hardest teams we could have got at this stage. Krauski, what's your view in the game on Wednesday, and what do you think? What's happening in the pre-season, whatever?
Just a wee addition to that. It's just going to be a kind of short call, but just a wee addition to that, they've also got a boy for PSV. Spent a bit of time with PSV in Terendane and Holland, and he was I think it was last on loan at Leeds United, like maybe last season, the season before.
Right.
So that's a boy who's obviously, again, Finnish internationalist. He's had quite a big experience over Holland. So again, he's one to watch as well. And also speak to Tony Cassidy, just on the chat there. He's recommended, I think it's a left winger, quite pacey boy. Needs to be kind of closely looked at as well. So I don't know. I think you're right. They're certainly the mugs. The mugs halfway through their season, doing quite well. So they certainly need to be obviously considered. Obviously, is a dangerous team. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
My point myself is, I've got a bit of a conundrum in the fact that I can't make. I've got a choice, either the Helsinki game or the Aberdeen game. Quite simple, I can't make two of them.
Mm-hmm.
But see, for me, and I think I've posted the question on Twitter. For me, support should come before glory. You know what I mean? If a Celtic fan can get, or if a Celtic fan's in the same position as me, they should decide they should go to the game on Wednesday, because I think the team needs our support more than anything.
Yeah.
It's all well and saying going and turn up for the glory and Saturday. But I think if you're stuck in a kind of choice between the two games, for me the Helsinki game beats it. Now you need to talk for Helsinki. You need to buy a ticket and get behind the team.
Very good point. No, I always remember that. I think I'm probably talking a lot of crap here, but one of the games that I know, but one of the games that I had to go to. I went to every game then anyway, but it was one of the ones that I had to go to. Was the Wednesday night after the Wraith Rovers Cup final. We played at Easter Road, and I had to get to that. Because that's one of the games you go to just to. That's like, and same if you were a Newcastle supporter, you'd have been at Brecon yesterday. You have to go to these games. See if Celtic were absolutely murder and were finished like 5th and 6th in the league, I would start going to all the away games again. Because they need me more then than they do just now.
Can I just tell you, right? I've got a comment here on Twitter, and this kind of sums up what you were saying, Jason. Right? Evil Knievel on Twitter says the reality is if we don't pump Helsinki, we should forget it. I didn't see it that way at all. I think that, Jason, I think that kind of proves that there is plenty of fans out there who think we should just be pumping this team. I don't see it.
World, are they really? I don't know the guy whatsoever, but we've no earned a position in European football to actually take any games for granted.
No.
We haven't got the right to take teams for granted, because we've played 2 qualifier rounds to get into the Champions League. Mm-hmm. That's about our own making. So we can't take anything for granted whatsoever. I'm
not caring who we're playing either, but it's not a cop out, and it is an excuse, because I'm getting it as an excuse before the fact, if you like. But the fact that this is our very first game of the season is a major thing. It's our first competitive game of the season against a decent side, and that is a major issue for me.
Yep, agree.
I think it's an all things being equal thing. I think if we played them in November, I'd say we'll beat them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's when I've seen us being tanked in America by crap teams, and you get slaughtered for that and all this kind of thing. You put these same MLS sides against Celtic in January, we take 6 or 7 of them. No question about it. It's an all things being equal. I know people will think that, well, we shouldn't be in the Champions League if we can't beat Helsinki, and I agree with that. But they have got a distinct advantage, and it's up to us to perform to kind of level up that advantage.
Mm-hmm. Kralski?
Yep.
I think it was Jason mentioned earlier on about obviously Armenia brought us up. Armenia playing them first away from home. I've always been a firm believer playing the away game first, and then also knowing what you need to do when you come home. I think obviously in this instance, I think Jason's might be right. Obviously the fact that they're halfway through their season, I think we need this game. We need the home crowd in the first leg to push us on and then take us forward. Because I think it will be a big difference if we're playing the game on Wednesday, then playing again on Saturday, another full competitive game, and then playing the second leg. By the time we get to the second leg, I think our match fitness will be a lot better than it is on Wednesday. Yeah. So I think, as I say, maybe at the start when Jason was explaining being home first, kind of disagreed, but also thinking the fact that they're halfway through their season, I think it's high. I would prefer to play this game home first.
Right.
Aye. And it's all upset and bucks. They end up getting they get humped on Wednesday night. We're like, oh man, I wish it was the away game.
You can see both sides of the argument. There's pros and cons to both of it. So keep an eye on Wednesday night, right? What is going to be? We're speaking about. I never seen the Inter Milan game, neither did Jason. And Paul was telling us the lineup there, and I fancied before that game that the way we would start against Inter Milan would probably be pretty close to the team and the tactic, if you like, that would go out against Inter Milan. Now, obviously, Anthony Stokes went off with a bad injury early on Saturday. Then Chris Commons went off with a bad injury later in the game. But seemingly Stokes wasn't as bad as was first feared, and Commons is the one that's probably going to miss it. I fancy Stokes is going to make the game, and Commons is the one that'll maybe drop out and he'll maybe make the bench. But how do you see us lining up? Is it going to be 4-4-2 or is it going to be the 4-5-1? I mean, it's our first game, right? Because the 4-5-1 is a formation we use a lot when I feel that we're giving the opposition a lot of respect. I.e., we use that a lot against the ex-Huns at Ibrox, and we use it a lot away from home in Europe, right? But then you would say there is an argument that you would like to get a few goals on Wednesday night, so do you go the 4-4-2 route? I'd just like to get your thoughts on how you see the team lining up and how you would like to see the team lining up. So I'll go to you first, Jason.
Well, on the Celtic, I was reading the Celtic website today, and it says that Brown, Rogney, and Kyle and Wee Forrest, they're available. They should be available for selection. So I'd like to see Kyle in the middle, but probably my team for Wednesday night, I would go like the 4-5-1. I would play Hooper up front himself, and I would play 4 in the middle, and just say to Samaras, "Go and do what you want," because he is winning me over as being a bit of a maverick. You know, I don't rate the guy as a forward, but for this, just giving him a free rein and letting him do what he wants, he's bloody good. And I would kind of go like that. I would tend to think ideally in the middle of the park, I'd be looking for Kai Allen, Wanyama. That'd be my 2 central midfielders, and play Forrest out in one wing and maybe Scott Brown in the other. And then at the back, you'd be looking at 4 at the back, and I'd be looking at Charlie Mulgrew and Rogney as a central defensive partnership, and the 2 fullbacks.
So you've no place in the team for Ledley?
Sorry, Joe Ledley. Well, I see that's the thing, because it's you need to play Ledley then, don't you? Because then there's no place for Samaras. So
if you're only having Hooper,
maybe don't play Scott Brown. Maybe play Joe Ledley.
I think Scott Brown's a certainty coming. Well, before I go to the other boys, I'll just give you my own personal one. Then I think I've got a funny feeling Wanyama will play at centre half. I've still got a funny feeling that Neil Lennon made plenty of noises about Wanyama being a centre half, or he was going to develop him into a centre half. Ultimately, he's seen him being there when he first come to the club. It was probably a pleasant surprise how well he played last season in midfield. But you've seen him move Wanyama back a couple of times into this 3-man defence, and I've still got a feeling that Neil Lennon ultimately sees Wanyama being a defender.
I think you can play Wanyama in any position in the park.
And the thing is, if Wanyama's playing at the back, as you say, it does then make room for a midfield Brown, Kyle, Ledley, Samaras. Do you know what I mean? Or Samaras or Forrest. Do you know what I mean? It gives you that. Because I think we'll play, if Stokes is anywhere near fit, Stokes will start. I think we'll play 4-4-2, just a flat 4-4-2. The 2 full-backs pick themselves. Is it Gary Matthews? I think it'll be Mulgrew, Wanyama, and then across the park, I think it'll be Samaras, Ledley, Kyle, Brown, with Stokes and Hooper up front. And if Stokes doesn't make it, I would quite like to see Tony Watt just flung straight in there to start the game. And if not Tony Watt, maybe Forrest to play up beside play beside Hooper. Paul?
Well, Bangura's got to start now. To be honest, talking about winning people over, I tell you who's really won me over in the last 2 games is Lustig. Playing at centre half, looks a completely different player. You know, we've seen him. He's
played there with Sweden, hasn't he? He's played there a lot with Sweden, as you know.
I always thought, square peg and a round hole. Every time I see him playing right wing back, whatever, looks really good. Looks completely different now as well. Haircut and shaved and all this kind of thing. Almost unrecognisable. I think personally, when Yama's best position is in front of the 2 centre halves, protecting them, because then that allows, if you're kind of pushing, to sort of let them go forward a bit and solidify the midfield. I don't think Stokes will play on Wednesday if he's fit or no, to be honest, because I still don't think that Lennon trusts him in games like this. He's done it in a couple of games and he's not done it again. I think Samaras is a certainty the way he's started. It's interesting. I mean, it is a quandary with Kai Allen Brown because I think Joe Ledley's undroppable. He's one of the guys who just picks the team every week and that's it.
Aye.
Brings your captain, and then Kyle. I mean, I think if anyone's going to miss out of day 3 and it was only 2, it'll be Kyle, primarily because of the fact that he's just come back from a long injury.
Yeah.
If Commons is fit, I think he'll start in front of Forrest, because I think Forrest still a young guy. I mean, I was actually quite close to him on Saturday after the game, and it's amazing how just much a wee laddie he looks, and I think that kind of what we've been saying before about, I think that Neil Lennon will be thinking about this in terms of like let's just keep ourselves in the tie here, let's not do anything stupid or that. So I think there's a very strong possibility you could see a kind of Hooper up front type scenario with Samaras supporting him but also tucking into the midfield, and I think that's kind of along the lines that we'll go.
So give me your starting 11.
It would be Fraser Foster, Matthews, Izagiri, Lustig, Mulgrew, Wanyama, Ledley, Brown, Commons if he's fit, Samaras and Hooper.
Right.
I was taking obviously the Harper sort of inside info that Commons was it. So my disclaimer would be I would have Commons in for Forrest if Commons is fit, without a doubt.
The Commons injury, actually, I don't know if you've seen it, but it was actually a fresh ear swipe that he done.
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
The crowd were all really slagging him and giving it SIBO and all that, and then you kind of realise right away that he was actually injured quite severely. And as he walked past us, or sort of hobbled past us, some guy ran about 50 yards into the front. It was like, Chris, are you all right? And he's like, I don't know, mate. I don't know. It was one of the ones as if they say, who the hell was this?
What?
But I mean, the Stokes one looked a lot worse at the time, but the Commons one is one of the ones where you think it looked a bit innocuous at first, but then he never got back up and stuff. So, and it'd be a shame if he missed it because he looked excellent on Saturday and his goal was out of this world.
I'd be the same if Commons is fit. When I was saying I would have Stokes up with Hooper, if Stokes doesn't make it, and I says I would have Watt or Forrest in the team, then I would have Commons in that place if he's fit. Do you know what I mean? Then the Stokes is role, but maybe just playing off Gary Hooper. The thing is, well, I don't know. I know we're talking about pre-season that, but we just seem to be. There's a lack of firepower there. I don't know, man. Krauske, what do you think?
I'll give you my 11 and then I'll need to shoot, lads. Obviously, Foster picks himself for me. Right back Matthews. I think it will be Wanyama and Mulgrew, centre half, and Izagiri. I think with Wanyama sitting in defence, I think that will then open up to play Ledley alongside will be Kyle, and then it'll be a pick between Forrest and Scott Brown on the right. And then what I would do is I would play Samaras on the left, and I would play Commons. If Commons again is fit, I'll play Commons just behind Hooper.
Yeah, that's my team.
You remember
as well.
also the Rangers game, how good Commons was in the Rangers game, picking the ball up too deep.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that would be ideal. I think that would work quite well. So again, that's just also to apply the pressure on, feed Hooper, but also obviously him sitting behind, possibly getting the ball in front of the defence and maybe a few cracks at goal. So, but again, that depends. Again, as well say, it's all ifs and buts who's fit.
To be honest, that would be if everybody is fit that we're talking about there. In fact, even if this Stokes is fit, I think that's the team I would like to go with, and even have Stokes on the bench to come on then.
Aye. But I'm just going to leave you just now, lads. Can't show as always.
Cheers, man.
Again, good work. Obviously, I appreciate your help with the TickBet thing. Hoots for Haiti and Joe McKenna's song is absolutely sublime. It's one of the best songs I've listened to in a long while. So. All the best. I'll catch you later, okay?
Cheers, man.
All right,
thanks for calling.
Cheers, mate.
All the best. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
See you.
Anybody else who's listening, if you're listening for the first time, we always forget to do. I'm always pulling Joe up for not telling people this at the start. I was even sending my messages last week. And Tony Cassidy was reminding me in the chat room. Everybody's a critic. You know what I mean? Yeah?
Tony Cassidy's the producer of all the shows.
He's in there telling me what to do and that. So anyway, he's right enough anyway. I forgot at the start. If anybody wants to call in like Krauske did there, just add HomeBhoys, send a contact request on Skype. We'll accept you as a friend, and you can just call in. Just you don't need to wait for a break or anything. Just call in. We'll add you. What I will say, please, if you are want to call in, if you could please try and use headphones. Put headphones on, and then when we accept you, mute your Spreaker and just listen to the show through the Skype. because it stops a lot of feedback and that. Sometimes you hear people call in, we get a lot of feedback and echo and stuff like that. If you have headphones in your computer, that cuts that out practically 100%. So it's just a wee tip for anybody, because if you do come on as well and you're hanging about and it affects the sound, I'm not going to apologise for it. We'll just cut you off, right? Don't be upset. It's no anything to do with you. It's just if you affect the sound, you'll be gone. So Jason's very lucky, because it gets tiny wee bit of hang, I'll just get rid of him. So, I mean, still talking about the Helsinki game, we're talking about the lineups there, and then is it a worry? Is the lack of firepower if you like, or pessimism if you like? I don't know. It's because we've not seen Hooper and that scoring goals pre-season, even although we're talking about these games don't matter. Is it because we've not signed a striker and we all think we need that striker, which I think we most certainly do? I mean, what is it? I think a lot of people are worried the fact that they keep seeing Murphy and Bangura appearing pre-season. Do you know what I mean? Tony Watt's away with the development squad. I didn't really understand that at all. Like, so, I mean, what do you think?
I think firepower's actually better than it was last year, because
you're an asshole, you know that. You just say opposite to anything I say.
Comments for the vast majority of the season, and now we've got the emergency young Tony Watt, so we've still got Stokes and Hooper. We've sort of gave up on Samaras as being a goal scoring threat, but I mean, we've got two good strikers. We've got Chris Commons who'll chip in with plenty for the midfield, I would reckon.
He never scored any last year.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I think he's fit now. I think he's a different player altogether.
See you, right? If I had said, you just say the opposite, because when I think, wait a minute, when I think about that SPL channel last week, next month down the line, you'll be saying we should have signed 3 strikers pre-season. I'm on the line,
you're trying to shift Joe, Harper, Joe double act there, or not?
Hey, anyway, that's the SPL channel. I was waiting on getting this in.
Well, no, that's coming.
Hey, forgetting the fact we've got Morton Rasmussen coming.
What was that? I missed that.
We've got Morton Rasmussen still coming, or not?
He's well with me out there.
But I tell you, on a serious note, I don't know what's happening, but I think Tony Watt's on the way out. I honestly do.
Makes you say that.
You know, it's like all of a sudden he's in the first team squad, everything's going fine. Next thing he's sent back to Germany, he goes to Firhill, he goes to Belfast, and suddenly he's getting linked with loan deals. I just didn't like it at all, and I didn't understand how Murphy or Bangura especially is even close to this team, and he can't even get in the squad now. It just seems a bit baffling all of a sudden, you know.
But just while we're on that subject, any strikers, right? I know people have been saying we need a centre half and we need a striker as priority. I'm going to swim against the tide here and say I think Celtic were right not to sign a centre half or a striker before the Helsinki game, because we only need them if we get through that tie, and getting them spending a couple of £1 million on a striker or a centre half pre-season that we might not need after 2 games. I think it makes good business sense at the minute. I think we should have a team good enough to get through the tie, and then if we get through the tie, then spend a couple of bob on players that you need for the Champions League, because we'll not need them otherwise. But looking at I was on the Celtic website today and I had a look and looking at strikers. We do need a striker anyway, because we're threadbare, man. I think we've got 8 strikers listed, right? One of them's Samaras, so just call him a midfielder instead, right? You've got Rasmussen, forget it. Bangura, forget it. Murphy, forget it. So that's you left with 4 strikers, in my opinion. And those 4 strikers are Gary Hooper, Anthony Stokes, James Keaton, and Tony Watt. So you've got 2 established strikers and 2 youngsters. There's not a football club in the world who doesn't have 3 goal scorers as strikers. Every good team has a third striker sitting on the bench who's good enough to be the second striker. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I went back to it 100 times. You have a John Hartson to come in for Chris Sutton kind of thing. Right? I'm not talking about we need players at that level. I'm just saying we should have another player as good as Hooper and Stokes to come in. That's my only concern. And this kind of talk at the minute about this Vaughan for Norwich and John, but even John Daly, I don't see how they really improve the team that much. I would rather go with the young boys than just. What I'm saying is, I would rather go with the young boys. If we didn't get through this tie, God, touch wood we get through it, right? But if we didn't get through this tie, I'd rather see Tony Watt and James Keatons used, right, and be brought on and be made to be Celtic players. Because I think if Tony Watt was playing for Motherwell, we'd all be saying, we'd be like Johnny Russell, we should be signing this boy, get him into the Celtic team. I think we didn't trust our youngsters enough. If they were playing with other teams, I think a lot of our young players, if they were playing for other teams in the SPL, they'd be starting games and we'd be looking at them going, we should be signing him. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not into spunking millions of pounds on players that we didn't maybe necessarily need. The centre half thing, the only thing I'm concerned with the centre half, and I think Lustig could be a decent player, right? I think Wanyama's earmarked for that role for the season, whether it's right or wrong, whether he's even got to still be at the club, right? Mulgrew is obviously a first pick in there. You've got Thomas Rogney, Kelvin Wilson I don't rate, he'll probably be gone. But you've got young Lewis Toshney there as well, right? You've got Josh Thompson came back for loan, these young players. You've Marcus Fraser started the game, he was never seen again. It's time to start trusting these young guys. I've moved from where I was last season. I'd rather develop players, and the signings that we do make are young guys hungry to make it in the game. We have them for 2 or 3 years, and then we move them on. This going out and buying journeymen, it's not for me, man. You'd be as well keeping Darryl Murphy as signing this boy from Norwich, in my opinion, just to get a guy who you can fling on and fling high deposit. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what you think of that.
Well, I mean, I didn't rate James Vaughan at all. He was absolutely atrocious against us last week for Norwich. I mean, I didn't even realise it was him. I made a point of looking in the programme and just, God, he is dreadful. Anybody who thinks John Daly can do a job for Celtic, I've got 2 words for him: Derek Riordan. Far better player, far more ability. Wasn't he nowhere near good enough to play for Celtic? I didn't think we should just go out and spend for it. I also, to be honest, didn't think that Toshney, Fraser or Thompson are ready for it. I've seen them a few times recently. But
in the SPL, Paul, I'm not talking about in Europe. I'm talking if we didn't make it through this tie, right? I'm talking. I mean, they're good enough for the SPL.
I don't. Well, they might be, but I don't think we are now. I mean, I think if see Marcus Fraser an example, he comes against Rennes, looked really good, blah blah blah, and I could guarantee everybody say, throw him in again. In the games I've seen him for the development squad, and anybody, Tony Cassidy, he hasn't looked that good at all.
Right.
Ditto Toshney.
Mm-hmm.
Josh Thompson, I think, is one of the players that is destroyed by playing a high line, which is what our defence will play in most games because they're always attacking. Because he's one of these, he can defend an 18-yard box as good as anybody. But you drag him out of corners and the centre and into the halfway line and stuff, he's going to be slaughtered because he's got no pace whatsoever. But I think that all the guys you've mentioned, I think, are all sort of worthy of a chance now. But the one thing that's missing for all of that is experience. And that, to me, is the old adage of, putting an experienced professional in there with them, they'll learn more in a season for him than they will in 10 years of coaching. Mm-hmm. And I think that's all we're missing because, as you say, if you put an experiencing guy in there now, put him in there for a year or two, it's like the old booting. You've got a succession of guys just ready to come in and take his place, having learned from him for 2 years, And then we didn't need to worry about it. I mean, you know what? I didn't want to go out and sign whoever for whoever. I want to see the young players coming in, and I do think Tony Watt is ready to come in far more than anybody else in the team development squad. Maybe with the exception of Callum McGregor, who kind of flies under the radar, but is an exceptional talent I've seen at that level in a long, long time. I want to see that to be the next stage of Celtic, where there's 3 or 4 or 5 of these guys. We've already seen Dylan McGeoch. We've already seen Philip Twardzik come in. This is a future,
Definitely.
And I'm a 100% with you. I do not want to see us sign some 27-year-old punt at the expense of somebody like McGeoch or Twardzik or whoever else.
No. And they've definitely got their players there. I mean, so Jason, we'll stay on the strikers then. I'll get your view on that then.
No, well, I would echo what you're saying totally, and I don't want to see any more of these January signings, Robbie Keane and stuff like that, and paying him 60 grand a week and stuff like that. I'd actually throw up if we done that now. It's like, I know what you're saying, Harper. It's a bit what do you do? And Peter Lawwell is in a difficult situation. We sort of discussed that a wee bit last week, that if he goes out and spends 5 million on a couple of players or 5 million on one player, is he going to guarantee you beat Helsinki? Nah. Is he going to settle in time? Nah, he's not. And then if we go out to them, we're stuck in the SPL. He's not getting any old firm games. He's a bit of a prima donna. What does it do to the attitude in the dressing room, stuff like that? I think we need to get hungry players here, and we need to sell the club as a stepping stone to the Premiership, and with hopefully a Champions League run and things like that. We are a selling club, and effectively we always have been, because any of our good young players, they went to England, your Charlie Nicholases and stuff like that. The few and far between guys like Paul McStay and stuff like that stuck it out, but we've always sort of been a selling club, but just now probably even more so. But the business model you mentioned, that's the road that we need to go down. We need to buy young, and we're scouting contacts at the minute that they seem to be doing the job anyway, because we've got plenty of good young ones there, and I think the future is really bright for Celtic. But see, if these young Scottish players aren't good enough, Harper, then they're not good enough, I'd love to see young James Keatons, love to see him. I know his uncles, I know his dad, and he's Celtic daft, and I'd love to see somebody like him make it. But I'm a bit ignorant. I've not been to a lot of the reserve games and the next generation games, so I can't really comment on them. But as I say, some of these guys, maybe if they don't look the best in reserve games and that, see when you get them in the first team, I don't think you really find out until you give them a chance. By a chance, I'm talking about a run of a few games in the team.
Definitely.
And see, like, Bangura, right, I know we're slagging him and stuff like that, but I still don't think he's been given a chance yet.
I just, and it's got to sound completely stupid, and there's no logic to this. There's not a lot of logic to a lot of things I say, but I can remember the first time I seen him, and this was without any sort of, because I'd read anything or any sort of premeditated any kind of stuff. As soon as I seen him, there was just something about him that I just thought, nah, he's not good. Do you know what way you just get a feeling? And I've not seen anything at all where I've thought this guy has something in there. He's had wee kind of chances here and there, and he's not took them even close to taking them. And I don't think he's in the long term plans. I think he's been a mistake. And the fact, Jason, see what you're saying about young guys. If they're not good enough, do you know what? If they're not good enough, let's just move them on and try somebody else. And the same way, see your Murphys, who's obviously not in the long term plans. I don't think Bangura will be in the long term plans. Who else did I say? Who was the three I said? Rasmussen. It's definitely not. He's not going to get anywhere near the first team. Just get rid of them, right? I know it's hard to sell guys that are not playing or whatever, but there'll be somebody out there who'll take them for £100,000. Just get their wages off the wage bill. Just get rid of them. If you've got to cut your losses, you've lost £500,000 or £1 million. That's just what you're going to have to do, because they're just dragging. They're hanging about. They're a waste of space. They're a waste of a wage. Just get rid of the three guys and go and get either somebody, because we need a striker, right? 4 strikers isn't enough, especially when 2 of them are coming from the development squad, and Tony Watt and Keatons, right? Hooper and Stokes isn't enough striker-wise, and I'm counting Samaras as a midfielder, right? So we need.
But you're saying we need a striker, right? Say we get knocked out of Europe, do we still need a striker? Aye,
because you need to have. I think you need to have 2 strikers, because look at Stokes getting hurt there at the weekend, right? If one of them gets hurt and is out, you've got to have a striker that can come in. You've got to have. That's what I'm saying. You have to have that third experienced goal scorer. And I don't. When you think that we've got Rasmussen, Bangura, and Murphy, get rid of the 3 and bring in one. Then, do you know what I mean? It's still a squad game, like. And what I would say is, I would buy in another. I'd bring in another young, hungry player. I wouldn't mind going for somebody like Johnny Russell. Although I buy into the idea that we need a kind of different option striker-wise, somebody maybe a wee bit more hustle and bustle. Whether that's a young guy or that, I don't know. Or the other side of the coin, like Jason says, I would like to bring in somebody then really, really experienced, who's maybe finishing his career. I said it before, I would take Michael Owen, just for the sort of training ground side of it, help more young boys on, not necessarily to be a first team starter.
Aye, but his wages have got to be reasonable.
Exactly.
You've got to say,
exactly.
Are you going to accept 10 grand a week or 8 grand
well,
a week? I don't think he's not going to even consider it.
Well, obviously that's got to be part of the thing. I'm not saying it's got to be in our wages sort of thing, right? I'm not talking about spending money at all. Even like Dion Dublin. Dion Dublin done a great job when he came to Celtic. Everybody liked him. He settled in right away. He was good with the players. And for what I heard, I was surprised actually he never stayed on in a coaching role. because you heard he was a kind of part-time coach when he was there, basically. So somebody like that would be ideal, I think, just to come in and help them. Somebody either really experienced or another young, hungry player, but no one of these journeyman players, because I think that's a waste of time. I don't think that improves us in any way, just buying a journeyman.
I mean, especially, see, you mentioned Bangura, Murphy and Rasmussen. You're talking about the balls of £5 million Celtic spent on them. You know, complete and utter waste of money. And if you're going to have a strategy, which I'm perfectly saying, look, we're not going to spend minimal fees, if anything, the money that does get made has to be put in proper scouting, it has to be put in development, coaching. You know, we've kind of lost Alan Thompson and not replaced him. I'm not entirely happy with that, to be honest, because I think the more coaches, the better. You know, that's the way the Spanish came back as a force, flooded the country with coaches all over the place. Got to go on it. We've got to be in positions where we can scout guys all over in places. And I know that we get hamstrung in this country by immigration laws, when the Daily Mail will tell you that it's easy to get in, and in actual fact we can't buy anybody from Africa unless they play for a European side, ditto South America. So we've got to be looking at countries where we can scout guys at 20, 21, 21 and say, right, there's a guy we can get for £500,000, we'll take a punt on him. That's why I want to see it. Unless there are guys in the development squad now that are better and move right in. And that has to be a part of the business plan, that when we're all scrambling for strikers and centre-halves, it's all right to say we're not going to spend because we're too flooded on youth development. There's going to be 2 or 3 ready just to come in. Because that's how your Champions League teams emerge again.
I know.
Back into their systems.
No, I agree with you, Paul, totally. But see, the thing is, with the business model, we've sort of been adopted for a couple of years. But you said, look, with Murphy, Rasmussen and Bangura, there's a deposit of $5 million there. That's right, but that's unfortunately the downside of that kind of business model. See, when you're scouting about markets that you're wanting to spend $1.5 million for a ready-made player, and you know what, you can't go to the $6 million because they're either no one to come to Scotland or their wages are out with their demands. When you're skitting about that price range, then for every Kyle you're going to get a Rasmussen, for every Azagiri you're going to get a Bangura. Do you know what I mean?
I totally agree. What I would say then is that you go down one notch on that, you get in a wee bit younger. I know Bangura's young and that's a whole different story. But like, for example, if you look at Samaras, right, he came from Aberdeen to Man City for £6 million. We were offering, never going to be able to afford that. We were able to get him because he just kind of fluctuated a wee bit.
Because it was pish.
And we got him for sweeties in comparison and all that.
I know.
But we have to get into, we have to be looking at, Serie B and the second league of the French league and all that kind of thing, and getting the proper scouting neighbours, because there's guys all over the world that will do that job for peanuts. That'll recognize your players all the time. And, I know at least 2 First Division clubs who have got basically unpaid scouts who just make it their life's ambition to cover every game they can. And if they bring them a player to X club, and then that player is signed by X club, if they sell him, the guy who brought him there gets a percentage of that fee. And that's it. And it's all stereotypical with the scouts and all that, old guys. But the thing is, these guys at the First Division level, they're open to anything. You can mention one player, they'll go, teams like Thistle and Falkirk, they'll be attending things like the Youth Cup final and the Glasgow Cup final when it's under 18s, under 20s, because that's the guys they can go, right, he looks no bad at 17, we might get him on a loan deal or whatever. That's what we need to do on a bigger scale, in my opinion. Go to the second league, the Spanish league, and get proper scouting networks in place so that we can say, all right, we can take a punt on him. Because the last time we kind of tried that with Crossas was just baffling. We paid, an extortionate fee for a guy who basically impressed against Hibs at Murrayfield, And we should be, if I'm saying that to you, Jason, if you come back to me and say, Crossas played well, I'm expecting you to show me a dossier on the guy for what he's done this year.
So go and watch him 10 times and then come back to me.
That's what I want to see, Miriam.
Yeah. Because that's back to the old days. Mind you played Dumbarton and Steve McCahill had a good game against him beside him after the example. That was the thing we were done back then.
He came into the Rangers game, scored their own goal in about the first.
Jason, just what I said, because he's hanging about there, we've been joined by Stephen Monaghan, also known as Vincent the Parrot. Stephen, before we bring you in, I'll just let Jason finish his point there.
Oh no! I'm just, as I say, away in a rant. You come in, Stephen.
Stephen, just on, and I'll get your opinion on this first, then, because there is one thing that bothers me about our team, we've hardly got a player in the entire squad that can header a ball, right? And I include the defenders in that.
Samaras.
But
doesn't do it often enough.
But that's what I mean. He doesn't do it often enough. We've hardly got. When you think back to when we're looking at centre backs, right? And as much as Mulgrew's been great there, he's not a great header or a great presence in the heading the ball. And I think we really miss that. And I know it's the obvious one, Bobo Baldy, but even when you go back and you think of Paul Elliott, Alan Stubbs, Mark Reaper, Johan Mjalby, Mick McCarthy, we've always had a kind of centre half with a presence. And even when we had Chris Sutton to come back there to defend set pieces and corners and stuff like that, because we used to lose a lot of goals for corner kicks. And Fraser Foster was getting a lot of blame in his first season for not coming off his line and stuff like that. I think it was made due to the fact we didn't have anybody who could header the ball. And I think even Wanyama in there, there's no that one guy in the team when defending a corner or a free kick where you think, well, this is going to be his. He's going to be Bobo Baldy. Every ball coming in the box, if he could get to it, was his. Same with the likes of your Mick McCarthy, Paul Elliott's. We really missed that in our team. We've hardly got a man that can header the ball. So Stephen, what do you think? People are talking about we need a striker, we need a centre half, and I agree to a certain extent, but for me, as we spoke about, it either has to be a young guy hungry or it's got to be a really experienced pro, not after a journeyman. The centre half, I'm not sure so much that Neil Lennon is really looking for one, because if he does fancy one, I could be totally wrong. Maybe he's not looking at Wanyama there. Wanyama maybe be away to Arsenal or Inter Milan or Brazil or whoever it is he's going to tomorrow. But so, I mean, what's your own thoughts on the situation?
I've been listening to the show, guys. For once, I can be deadly serious for about 10 minutes when it comes to football and travel and stuff. I mean, when you were talking about this pre-season start, I mean, I think people's got to realise as Scotland is a country, whether it be Glasgow or Edinburgh, we actually live closer to Norway than we do to Plymouth in England. So when it comes to temperatures and weather, I'd rather have the season start a little bit earlier and then have a enforced winter break. Especially as you guys have said in previous weeks about teams like Ross County and Inverness being in the Premier League. When it comes to the scouting system, I think maybe in the last 10 years, the fact that Portugal's turned up in world football I know they had guys like Eusebio in the 60s and that from Mozambique, but Portugal, because they're able to bring in guys from Brazil with the dual passports and stuff, teams like Porto, Benfica, the money the guys are commanding now, guys like Hulk and various other players who are going to be moving around Europe, they bring them in for very little money and sell them on to Chelsea or AC Milan. But I also think in Scotland, we've never got round the psyche of the old days. You mentioned somebody like Steve McCahill when we signed him. Celtic famously always used to sneak in and sign a player on the Friday night to put an extra 10,000 on the table on the Saturday morning. The most important point for me, I think, in British football in total is that you look at the platform that Manchester United had for maybe 15 years. They had an exceptional youth policy. They enabled themselves to have guys like Beckham, Scholes, Ryan Giggs, meaning the sense they didn't pay any money to bring the guys in. So when they did have to make a big signing, they had the money there. The money sat there. They could go out and gazump anybody. Whereas teams like maybe Liverpool, under Houllier, just brought in about 20 Spanish youth players who are still bumming about Liverpool to this day. They bought into it. I mean, I'd rather see us develop our own players if we could. We've got a great example, but I mean, you're talking about the league changing. I think that our reserve league coming back would be better, because the competitive games are okay for the younger players, but as you say, they're not getting the elbows in the face they would be getting in the lower leagues to toughen them up a bit.
I think what we spoke about a couple of months. Good point, Stephen. But I would love Celtic to be able to put a B team in the lower leagues, and like the Spanish model and stuff like that. Obviously, any team in the Premier League that's got the finances to do it, you put in a B team, and then obviously they can't get promotion to the same league as you. But the summer football one, it's a total no-brainer. When you look at Scottish football and the Scottish national team, it's totally underperforming for the amount of people that we've got playing football in this country and the amount of people that watch football in this country. We're an embarrassment now to what we used to be. We always say we're like a small nation now, which we are, but look at Uruguay and stuff like that. You know, there's loads of other small nations that perform at the highest stages of the game, and especially when we've got a nation that everybody is football mental.
Jason,
you know,
Jason, just look where I am. Look at Ireland.
Exactly, and football's like a third sport there, a fourth.
Look at their national team.
It's got the two GAA sports, and then it's got rugby probably in front of it.
And look at their national team.
Exactly, but see when you're on about the Scottish national team and stuff like that, and then a simple answer is summer football. I mean, see if we've got guys at the top of your game that's like, say you're working in any organisation, you're working in projects, you've got a project manager and you've got a squad of business analysts below them. So they look at the root cause analysis of something. So you look at the Scottish game, say, how are we pish? Right? So you say, we're getting knocked out of Europe at the start of the time. So when do we play our games? Look at the timescales. Wait a minute, the season hasn't even started there and we're trying to qualify for Europe. Yeah. So straight away, you covered it at the start, Harper. That is a no-brainer. You need to move because the European football governing bodies aren't going to move the qualifying ties to suit the SPL. So we've only got one option. We need to move the SPL season. Mm-hmm. So what in heaven's name is the argument against it? We've got the biggest market in world football on our border, and we play the exact same season as them. Mm-hmm. And we're wondering why we get pittance for a TV deal. Yeah. We're wondering why we get a highlights package on a Monday night.
I mean, it's even, Jason, when you talk about that, even going to summer football in Ireland, they even play the games on the Friday night, so they're not competing with the EPL on a Saturday and a Sunday.
See, a Friday night football, I wouldn't mind it.
It's brilliant. I love it. I absolutely love it.
A perfect example of that. Exactly what Jason says about how we've got this huge market right on our doorstep and we're trying to compete with them. Look what Tranmere Rovers did with Liverpool and Everton.
Aye.
They moved their games to Friday nights and suddenly you heard the Tranmere Rovers. Mm-hmm. Suddenly they were signing bigger players and all that kind of thing because they just know they're never going to compete with Liverpool or Everton, so they didn't even try. And I just think, these kind of things, I genuinely feel that a year ago if we had this conversation we'd all be thinking, it'll never happen. I think these things will happen. I think things like this will start to happen very soon because the reality has bitten at last to these guys that have been running the game that it's not working.
Aye. Well, hopefully there's been straight away the season's not even started yet, and we've got Ross County are offering to pay for Motherwell's fans to travel to their away games.
That's brilliant.
I mean, how good is that? Mm-hmm. And see when you actually think about it, you say to yourself, see Celtic. Why have Celtic not done that for years? Say to the away club, we'll send 10 buses up to bus your fans over. Mm-hmm. And then you're making £30 through the gate. All right, you're paying a few £100 for buses, but how many fans are you bringing?
When you bring that, Jason, hopefully Aberdeen, they've sold out their original ticket allocation.
That's brilliant. I've seen that. They've sold out their allocation, aye.
You get more away fans there. There's more banter, and we don't have to rely on the Green Brigade to get the crowd going.
Mm. I think I've
you're right.
I've absolutely no fears. This whole thing, right? This whole thing with Sevco disappearing out of the league and how the media has tried to paint this doomsday scenario. There's no doubt in my mind. Scottish football fans are determined to make this season to be as one of the most successful. I think gates are going to go up. Maybe tail off, right? Maybe the novelty will wear off for some fans when their team starts getting humped and stuff like that. But I think initially clubs are going to see a spike in attendances. You've already seen it. They're coming up with ideas. What you're saying there, Ross County paying for buses. When was the last time Aberdeen sold out their section? I wouldn't think that's a regular occurrence.
No, and also they're getting more tickets, and they're all trying to get them. And there was a thing on Sunday that every SPL club is basically up on season ticket sales for last season. I think Saturday will definitely be a sellout. Mm-hmm. I mean, you talk about determination, Harper. There's Aberdeen sold their allocation. We only got the kick-off time confirmed today, mm-hmm. and now they're taking their tickets. You would think that if the early kick-off and the misunderstanding of the kick-off time would have affected them. Not a bit of it. Mm-hmm. They're all coming down. They're all up for it. That'll inspire us. I've no doubt that the game will be sold out by that time, and it'll be phenomenal on Saturday. It really will be phenomenal.
Yeah, and I think hopefully it is a pointer for the season to come, and I honestly believe there is a real show them. Do you know what I mean? Because we said it for the start that it wasn't the doomsday for Scottish football. Instead, it should be actually the rebirth. It's probably not quite gone in the direction exactly how we want it. I heard you speaking last week. We should just get rid of the Sky deal, go to the Arena SPL channel, summer football. I think that's all going to come. I think this is the only. You saw the boy. I'm just waiting now to read this. I'm going slightly off topic kind of thing. But I do believe this is going to happen next season. I think there will be massive league reconstruction at the end of this season. It would have happened this season if they had enough time. Do you know what I mean? They just didn't get the time scale with the votes and all that with Sevco. This Don's talk tweeted last night, right? Ian Black has told, because when you think about it, what's Ian Black signing for them for, right? Ian Black has told all his former teammates at Hearts that he is on 5k a week and promised he and Rangers Sevco will be back in the SPL next season. And I quite believe he has been told that. Right.
I don't care if he's been told that it's pish, but they've promised everything.
But Jason, what I'm trying to say is, right, I think there is massive league reconstruction coming next season. And
that's fine, but how can they get in the Premier League if the highest they can be is the second division?
I know, understand. Their fans are still the Huns. You know what I mean?
Mate? Did you cut off there, Paul?
No, it's the parrot.
Harper cut off for a while then.
All right, sorry. Well, I'm still recording, so as long as the main people can hear me. What I'm saying is, I'm going to still call them the Huns, right? Because all the pictures I seen yesterday and getting tweeted and the stuff I heard that they were singing that, they are still the Huns. But they can be any club they want, but they're still the Huns at the end of the day, right? Where was I going with this? So your man Charles Green is pandering to them, right, saying that the SPL were bigots, Celtics led this thing against them. Ali McCoy's coming out with all these stupid statements. They're not exactly quoting many favours again. Do you know what I mean? The kind of stuff they're coming out with. When they think they should just be saying, right, but league reconstruction is coming. They've probably been promised it, right, and they really need Celtic to be the team that says, right, we do want them in the top flight next season, right? Whether we agree with it or no, they really need Celtic, Peter Wallow, etc. to back that, right? But your man coming out with the stuff he's coming out with, he's certainly not going to be getting any favours for Celtic.
I don't think whatever he says they're going to get any favours for anybody. The fans will revolt again. See next season, see if they come out in Birmingham and say they'll get promoted into the Premier League. The exact same thing that will happen this season. The fans will totally revolt, and they can't do it. They can't let them into the Premier League.
I agree with you 100%.
The only way they get it is by winning their way up.
I agree with you 100%, Jason. I'm just saying. I think this is.
It's only a part-time licence.
That's right. That's right. All I'm saying is, though, I think this is what they're going to try. This is what Scottish football's going to try and do to us next season.
I don't think so, mate.
I think that's what they're going to try and do, and it's going to be another fight for us again to stop it.
I've seen that the Greek lawyer who does blogs and was on BBC, he was talking about the Greek holding midfielder, the 34-year-old, and he was saying that he's been told the same as David was saying about Ian Black saying he was going to be promised he'd be in the Premier League. But Charlie Green hasn't told them anything yet. He says that things were going to change when he took over the new organisation, which they are. But Charlie Green just telling them what everybody else told them in the past, and where did that get them?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. They told them all, but they would get voted back in. They told them all, and then the league was reconvening, and we're going to vote them in the second time. They told them everything. Nothing's ever happened the way they've told them.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen it today. I was at my brother's Paul's today, my niece, but Tommy from Glasgow, he got a hold of the Asian gentleman who's a 10% shareholder in Sev. I don't know if you heard the 20-minute phone call Tommy had with him. And it's one of those things.
Sorry, Stephen, the link. Sorry, for anybody that's listening, Tony Cassidy's just put the link to what you're talking about in the chat room. If anybody wants to get that after our show, obviously. Copy that and save it. So carry on, Stephen. Sorry.
Is he done the old Craig White again, like investing and stuff like that?
Well, he phoned up and how he gets away with it, I don't know. He's brilliant, the guy, but he done an initial call and the gentleman, Imran something, was quite cagey about it. He says, I'm in a private club at the moment, which probably means it was the Orange Halls and ships or something, you know what I mean? But anyway, Tommy had a second call with him and he said, well, listen, and I think Tommy used to work in the stock market, so he had a few bits of terminology which sort of sucked the guy in. And he said, basically, I represent so-and-so, and we just want to buy the whole lot off you. And the guy went, "Oh, we're not really looking at doing that. At this time, it had been reported that we had put 5.5 million into buying the old company, which was Rangers. I can tell you now that the actual fee is £10 million we've put in so far. They've paid £2 million worth of wages so far in the last 2 months, June and July. The SFA also made them pay for the court case, even though they won it, the £200,000. That was part of them getting their temporary licence for the game on Sunday. And also, they were also mentioning the guy that he quoted himself saying that he was the dumb smuck putting money into it. And they're looking at doing a share flotation for £30 million in October. I mean, this is a lot that made that when David Murray tried to do it with the old company. I mean, I think they only raised £1 million, and the Bank of Scotland raised a 49 million through David Murray.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, I mean, it's a 20-minute phone call, to be honest, but basically, Tommy sorts of rip him at the end and goes a few things out of him, but it's basically said into it, so you're not interested in sell lock, stock and barrel, and he went, oh, no, and he says, so what if I've got £40 million here? And the guy, and he says to him, well, what you do is, if you get your lawyers to contact our lawyers, and Tommy says, well, you've told me that it's a waste of time asking to get a controlling share to buy the whole company, and he went, well, it doesn't cost anything for a lawyer to go to a lawyer. It's a really good 20 minutes to listen to if you get times, obviously, after the show.
I'm going to check that out myself.
I tell you what I found interesting.
I'm not really interested, to be honest.
Well, I tell you what I found interesting was Stephen saying that the guy said that they paid for the court case against the lawyers, because I know for a cast in fact the Rangers Fighting Fund claimed they did. So that'd be interesting.
One thing that Charles Green does say, right, and I do believe, if I was a Rangers fan, I would want to hear this, that he's got no love for the club and he's in it as a cold-hearted businessman, because I think that is better for them. See if they've got somebody that's there to make money, that make money in a legitimate way, then that could only be good for them. Like Fergus McCann for us, he was there to make money. Mm-hmm. The only way he could make money was by delivering what he promised. Mm-hmm. You know, and if Green sets them a bunch of promises and delivers them, then makes money, then they win at it. You know, but with that other guy coming out, I don't know the other director's name or the chairman or whatever, coming out saying about the balance sheet and stuff like that, you're just saying, wait a minute here, they just don't get this at all. They're boasting how debt free they are and stuff like that.
The only problem I see with Green and what you're saying, and Rangers fans must love him, because the stuff he's coming out with is exactly what they want to hear, calling everybody else bigots and all that. And yet, and the picture of him in the paper clapping along to the Rangers fans singing, if you hate Stuart Regan, clap your hands. And then Charles Green's...
They actually do that.
Well, I don't know, but I mean, it seemed like it was in the paper, right? But that's the kind of thing, obviously they're going to love that, right? But you would never have seen Fergus McCann, for all his faults or whatever, now you've never have seen Fergus McCann do anything stupid like that.
You would never see any businessman...
No, it doesn't come across... But even his stuff coming out with, it was bigotry that caused the vote to go against him. I mean, that's just stupid. It's not very...
The point. He might have the point. Every other team in Scotland might have been fed up with their bigotry and get rid of them.
But that's not what he was meaning. That's not what he was meaning. What I'm saying is, he's not going about things very professionally. Do you know what I mean? That's
he's buying into Spreaker. I mean, he'll be buying himself a King Billy cat and a white horse next, you know, for hanging about outside when the season tickets go on sale.
To be honest,
Listen.
You're probably right. He's probably got a PR man. The PR man's telling him, look, this is what you need to do to get them on side.
Oh, definitely, aye. Listen, we don't want to go too much into we're an hour and a half into the show, and we don't want to go on all night. I've got a wee thing, predictions and that I want to give you for the season and that. The only thing is, I will say though, right, there will be, I've got a wee thing here I'm going to do, I'm going to have a wee segment every week, Huns on the Run, right? Because... And I've seen a lot of Celtic fans, and I completely understand where they're coming from, right? Saying they didn't even want to talk about Sevco anymore. This pretend it didn't exist, right? I come from the point of view is I'm going to lap up every bit of this. For me, the comedy's only starting. There is loads of legwork to get out of this. I am going to be...
Any Celtic fan that says they have been revelling in their biggest rival in the Swanee...
My Facebook is going to be a joy. I'm just going to be tiny wee things, because that's what really gets them. They just the wee tiny turn of the knife. No the over the top gloating. It's the wee bits. But you say, all right, you're right enough in that. Then you have the wee turn of the knife every day. I'm going to milk this as much as I can. I'm going to love it. I'm going to love every minute. So I'm not going to be ignoring them. I'm not going to be obsessed with them because I'm not. But I'm going to enjoy them.
I mean, can I say as like a serious point? I mean, obviously we're all Celtic fans and they were what they are and what reincarnation. I mean, I had a coffee with my mate yesterday who's a paid up member of the Tartan Army, home and away, and he's a Fall Cup season ticket holder, wee Alistair. And he basically said, I said to him yesterday, and he says he's had old co fans giving him abuse on Facebook because he's basically saying stuff we've been saying. He says, but the difference is, Stevie, he says, my club nearly went to the wall under the financial mismanagement of an owner. And I said to him, I said, your club's been penalised now, you've got a nice articulate manager who talks the talk, you've got a good youth policy, you're doing everything right in Scottish football. And I says, you've done it right and you're lying bastard in that league and can't get up. Mm. You know, and it was, he totally agreed with me. So sometimes you think, all right, as Davey, it's brilliant, but what they put us through in the 90s when they were vilely waving about the money they never actually had, sort of thing. But to hear it from a neutral fan who's not in our division to be in the same league as us, it's definitely the right thing, you know. But I mean, some of the filth that they're coming out with, I mean, they're doing themselves no favour whatsoever.
No, they're we all know what they are, and they'll never change. Like, do you know what I mean? So if you have got any friends who are Rangers fans and Sevco fans, or whatever you want to call them, right? And Jason, I heard you saying last week you work with a couple of guys now, right? So I've got a wee segment because we know some of them tune in, right? We know some of them download the show, and we know some of them are trying to keep an eye on us and all this kind of stuff because they get their wee posts and follow, and these Tim said this, these Fenian bastards said that, right? So I've got a wee segment for them. I
couldn't imagine sitting listening through a couple of our podcasts and they talk.
No way, man. No, they can't even talk, right? But I've got a wee segment for them called Huns on the Run, right? So it'll be like a Friday and you'll be at your work and you'll see one of these Huns, right, sitting all confused and that, right? And what's wrong? He's like, that's, you know, I've got a wee segment to tell them about all the wee clubs that they're going to be visiting, right? So Huns on the Run, right? So Anand's got to be up first, right? So here's a few things about Anand that you can tell. Huh?
Anand.
Well, there you go. Anand, right? Anand Athletic, nickname the Black and Golds or the Galabankies, right? The Galabankies must be the greatest name ever for a nickname. The Galabank. I'm away to see the Galabankies, right? And their ground is the Galabank. Their manager's Harry Kearney. This is all information you can pass on to the Huns because they're all confused. They don't have a clue what's happening, right? So here's just a few wee tips about Anand if you go to visit Anand, right? This is perfect for the Masons. It's a perfect place for the Masons, right? As an excise man based in Dumfries, Robert Burns, the chief goat himself, right, was a frequent visitor to the town and harbour and is said to have written The Deals of War with the Excise Man in a building on the site of the present Pagani's restaurant, right? So if you're a Hun and you're obviously a Mason and that, if you pop into that restaurant, give them the wee handshake and the nod, you'll probably get a battered sheep supper for £1 or something like that, right? And I was having a look there on the 12th of July, the glorious 12th, they had the Sandow Clowns Slapstick Theatre, right? This programme on the 12th, it's just like the 12th of July everywhere. The programme is the best of clean, simple slapstick. Balancing, juggling, comedy, musical, car and marching, and much audience stage participation. This is Anand, so it's a perfect place for these Sevco boys, right? And also, keep an eye out for the hijinks. The hijinks consist of a group of fun-loving people revelling in their second childhood. However, age is no barrier to joining this unique band of renegades. If you're willing to give your time and talent and are over 16, we will welcome you aboard the good ship hijinks. So there, Huns on the Run. There's a wee bit about an athletic for all you sad people that will be heading there to rape and pillage. So, last half of the show, I suppose we better look a wee bit ahead to the Aberdeen game. I always find it kind of hard to talk about a game when you've got a midweek game. But what we're looking for, just a big party atmosphere. Saturday, Jason?
It's obviously one of the highlights of your supporting life is going to the stadium and seeing your team hoist the flag up. So, no, is it Sean Fallon that's put the flag up?
Yeah.
Right.
Who just had his 90th birthday yesterday, I believe.
Yep, so look forward to see him. My grand always says he'd have ran through a brick wall, but it was useless. But no, fair play to Sean, and it's good to see him getting the flag up. But I'm really looking forward to it. I'll take my wee girl, she's at the door the now early, she's no gone, so I'm taking Rory and his pal, so I'll get them in 12:45 kick-off, so just take the car in, get the kids in early, get them a flag or something like that, and just enjoy the day. I'm really looking forward to it. When I was school age, when I was absolutely Celtic was my life, they were possibly my biggest games. Looking forward to it in the mid-80s was Celtic Aberdeen at maybe 83. Celtic Aberdeen at Parkhead, their games were absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. They used to bring like 7,000-8,000 fans down. Used to get half the Rangers in running battles. Remember that? They put that white sheet up so that we couldn't see them. Mind, there was running battles between the two sets of fans when they started the casuals and that, and they come down. That was brilliant. They were the days.
Jay Allen, bloody casuals.
Aye, it was like, I remember when they first started coming down to Parkhead, and you looked out and you were like, oh my God, what's this? And aye, that was brilliant, and just the mad riots you used to get when you played them, and it was just like dead innocent sort of thing. You're like, this is a done thing. Polish used to just give you a clip round the ear and send you back into the Rangers there. But aye, no, they were the end. What a team they had. A wee Strachan, and my mate Mouse always says that if Celtic could have went to Dundee United or Aberdeen and bought their central defensive partnership, we could have won the European Cup. See what the team Celtic had then. See if you'd went and get
McLeish and Miller,
Derry and Hegarty, or Willie Miller and Big McLeish. Right, because that was always our weak point. You know, with good fullbacks, but their central defensive were a bit weren't too good. But our forwards then and our midfield's absolutely brilliant. McLeod, Tommy Burns, Davy Provan, they were the days, man. They were brilliant. The football was dead innocent then. It was fantastic. And you were playing that was 55,000 we used to get against Aberdeen. Dundee United, great times. Hearts, they were happy days. So I've got a bit of nostalgia about the games coming up shortly, and hopefully we'll get back to that and see more Scottish players playing for Celtic as well, and bringing through the youth. And not that I'm any mad Scottish nationalist, but I like to see some young Scottish players coming through, and you always get more pleasure when it's you've brung the players through yourselves. So I'm really looking forward to it, Harper. Can't wait to bring it on.
Paul?
Yeah, just, all that. I mean, I think I actually spoke to 5 years ago in New York, Billy McNeil, and he was talking about that era when Celtic won the league in 81-82, and he said that nobody would sell us anybody. He tried to buy Hegarty, he tried to buy John Hewitt, he tried to buy Peter Weir, and none of them would be sold because they all thought Celtic were going to dominate Scottish football forever if they did get them. But I'm looking forward to the game. Obviously looking forward to the flag going up, Sean Fallon doing it. Just looking for any kind of win to get the season started up. I'd really love to come out of the game on Saturday, just talking about the game and talking about the great goals and all that kind of thing, and hopefully that would be a precursor to the season and put all this kind of political stuff behind us.
Here, Paul, get rid of all this kind of stuff and just start talking about football.
Stephen?
It's will be my first game of the season since the 88-89 season when it was John Collins' debut in Aberdeen, but it was 3-0 they beat us at Parkhead.
Was that when you got to the jail just after that?
No, my mate was. I was serving my time then, and actually the ties in quite well. My mate was an Aberdeen casual, and he was in the Celtic end with me. And I went, "Oh, you're getting pumped today. We'll get Martin Hayes running the midfield." Oh, what a fool I was! He gave me a copy of that book, Casuals, Bloody Casuals. I don't know if he's ever read that.
Aye.
No, it's just called Bloody Casuals.
The jail one.
Aye.
You need to get Harper to explain to you why he said, "Did you get to jail after that?" Harper, you need to tell him what you were telling me.
Because he said that was his first game. This will be his first.
In 1990, I think, that game you're talking about, Stephen.
He says this will be his first game of the season since then. So he says he's been in the jail since then.
No, Harper says you weren't in the Merchant Navy. You were in the big house for 20 years.
If it was probably better in Berlin than it was in the boats I was on then. I would say I was
the big house, that's Ibrox, no Berlin, eh?
I've lived at touch type 8 words a minute in South Secretarial College. I was only up for 2 days. So back then, that was even then I went out to the Gulf War just after that. Probably done my favour the Celtic team that season. But I'd probably hopefully look for a 2-0 win Saturday. But obviously, the curse of Celtic's going to come back, and young Neil McGinn's going to look like Overmars in the wing. As always happens, isn't it? Excel comes back.
That's a fair point. He'll have a point to prove as well.
Definitely.
But I thought he wasn't a bad player. And I loved his podcast that he done.
He was very good.
Temporary Stand. Was it Temporary Stand guys done it?
Yeah.
It was brilliant. I really enjoyed listening to it.
I know. I think he'll have a good season with them. It reminds me a wee bit of when Jamie Smith. Was it Jamie Smith? Went to Aberdeen. It reminds me a wee bit of that.
I found out there's a few sitting beside us for Twitter. I've only got 200 something followers, but there's the boy in Edinburgh, Jerry, and they sit behind it. Hopefully, I'm touching base with him in the game Wednesday, and I think we're going to go for a Mellow Birds in the Merchant City after the game on Saturday, so that'll be good.
Oh, happy days, man, happy days. So, that's right, seeing that I had this plan, and Joe's not here, right? Obviously, he's made a complete ass of this. So, but I'll get Joe's. I'm going to get your predictions off you for the season, right? And I'm going to write it down so then I can come back to the end of the season and make a full use, right? So, but I'll get Joe on the phone through the week, and I'll tweet his predictions and that, just so, because I want to get your season predictions, and I'm going to get every week. I'm going to get your scoreline predictions, and we're going to have a wee competition this season between me, myself, Joe, Paul and Jason, because obviously we have different callers every week. It's too much then for me to take a note of. So first of all, right, and I'll get your predictions as well, Steve. I'm just not taking note of it.
I don't want any evidence to be with my record.
So first of all, right, the Helsinki game, right. I want a scoreline off you each. So I'm going for 1-0 Celtic on Wednesday night in the Helsinki game. Jason.
2-0 Celtic.
Right, 2-0. So I'll take a note of that. Paul?
2-1 Celtic.
2-1 Celtic. And Stephen?
I tell you, I'm going to put my arse.
I'm only wanting a scoreline. I'm not wanting nothing about your arse. What are you talking about? That's you back to the jail again already.
What's the score? I'm going to say 4-0.
4-0, right. I hope you're right. So, Jason, then on to Aberdeen. I'm going to take a 3-1 victory for Celtic.
2-1 for Celtic.
2-1. Paul?
I'll say 4-1 Celtic.
4-1. Happy days. Stephen, what's your arse saying this time?
The other cheek saying 3-0.
3-0 to Celtic?
Yep. That's right.
Right, very good. And as I say, I'll get Joe's predictions off him before the games are played and tweet them so there'll be no cheating. And what we'll do is we'll maybe do just a point for a correct a win and 2 points for the exact score, will we?
Okay.
But then we're always going to be taking Celtic every week to win,
are we doing league predictions?
Just calm your jets, man. I'm getting to that. Don't be trying to preempt the host. Right. Is this like a, what do you call it, an overthrow attempt? I'm mutiny. Right, so I've got it here. I want to get your SPL runners-up, relegation player of the year, blah, blah, blah. So, SPL champions, Celtic. Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody's saying Celtic, eh?
Aye.
Obviously. So, Stephen, you sure?
I'll go for that, aye. Right,
no bother. Right now, I'll write that down. I don't even know why I didn't just pre-write that. Runners-up, interesting. I think Dundee United will be the team that will push us most this season. I think looking at them last year, they had the best young players in the league. I think Hearts are the kind of team that you expect to be the second biggest team now. But the players that they've let go, and they're not really bringing anyone. And talking to my mate who came on that week, the Hearts fan, they're going to be relying on a lot of untried youngsters this season, which is probably a bit of a shame for them because it was a big opportunity for them this season. Maybe it'll work out for them. I don't know, but I really fancy Dundee United to be the team that will push us the longest anyway and the furthest. So I'm taking Dundee United as runners up. Jason?
I'd agree with that. Dundee United.
Okay, Dundee United. Paul?
Definitely for me.
No, I'll go for Hearts, primarily on the fact that I think they've got a couple of guys coming back to loan, like John Sutton, that'll do well, and their support will carry them through a lot of games as well. So I'll say Hearts.
Okay. Stephen?
I'll go with Hearts. I'll follow Mr. Larkin.
Right, no bother. So, who do you think will get relegated? I think this is a very tough call. Ross County are a bit of an unknown quantity how they're going to handle it. I think they've got I honestly think Ross County and Inverness have an advantage because they're so far away. I really do that. I think they get an advantage that teams struggle to go up there sometimes. Not all the time, and it maybe sounds stupid. Maybe that's absolute rubbish. Maybe it's just because Celtic struggle in Inverness, and that's what makes me think that. But I think they have a kind of weekend advantage up there because they're travelling and all that. But I'm going to go with St Mirren to be relegated. I just think St Mirren are a team that they're just going to struggle. I mean, I know they're struggling financially, a big team. I know there's a lot of teams struggling financially, but I think St Mirren could be the team finish bottom. They'll probably not get relegated because it'll be a reconstruction. What we'll say is the team that will finish bottom in the league then, so I'm going to say St Mirren.
Okay. I'm actually going to go with Inverness. I think they've been steadily getting worse for a few years. And
I'd love it to be Inverness.
I think Big Boot. I like young Derek Adams, the manager of Ross County. He's got something about him, and I just feel they'll do all right. But to me, it'd be Inverness or Dundee. I think Dundee will struggle. But I just think Inverness, I don't know, I think they've been getting steadily worse. And I don't think they've signed many players. But though I just think the Big Butchers maybe run out of ideas there. And but he's done a decent job. But me, I know you guys went for Hearts for second, but I definitely think Motherwell will be the team that will push Dundee United for the second place. I think whatever I think about Stuart McCall, he's got something about him. Because he loses players hand over fist and still produces the goods with them. And we can't really blame it on their sort of desert park what they play on now, because the park isn't too bad. But I was doing it with a pre-season friendly against Everton, but they were good. What a goal the boy scored outside the box. But I think Stuart McCall's got something about him as a manager as well. Alright, he's one of them. But no, I just think Motherwell will push Dundee United. I think Hearts will be a bit further down the league. But Inverness for me get relegated.
Okay, so Stephen?
Hibs will go off it. They've brought back Lee Griffiths, and that's just bringing back the Jack in the box, isn't it? I mean, he said more old Derek Ryden was a bit of a party boy, but this guy just can't keep his mouth shut. I mean, he was tweeting about the state of the pre-season training camp in Germany. I just think they remind me of the Dundee United team that it sort of went down. Everybody said they were too good to go down. They had no bad season, and then I just kind of see it positive about it. The club's not really got a cloud over it at the moment.
I think Fenlon is a good manager, and I think he'll sort them out this season. I honestly believe that they're not going to be challenging for much. They're probably obviously their best thing is going to be a cup run, but I didn't see them in a relegation battle. Honestly, I didn't.
I don't think it's. I agree with Davey. I mean, he is a good manager for his record in Ireland, and that. I think Martin O'Neill would struggle with that thing. I mean, it needs a good clear out. Do you know what I mean? They've got that new big stand there, and the rest of the clubs are sort of like pulling together. But there's very few positive comments coming out of Hibs. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, I don't mind Hibs as a team sort of thing, you know. But I think they will really struggle this year.
But Paul, just before I get yours, right? Jim JMH72 in the chat room's having a wee dig at you, Stephen, because he's just said, ask the parrot where the St Johnstone manager comes from.
St Johnstone, all right.
After your wee slip last week.
I've still got Stephanie's fiver. Well done there. Sorry to interrupt you, it's really important. It's Team Oscar bracelets are for sale at the Forge Bookshop.
Okay.
You've seen Fraser Foster marketing his on today and Twitter, just to let everybody know. Sorry to interrupt and
good shout.
Stuff like that.
No, that's a good shout, Stephen. Just say again where that is.
It's in the Forge Market. I've got I think you had Anthony Stokes and you had Fraser Foster had the bands on. I mean, I'll probably be going down there during the week to get one. So if anybody's working, I'll meet them at a match and give them it. I think they're a couple of quid. It's inside the Forge retail part, just at the cinema. And
young Oscar has the Neuroblaster. It's cancer anyway, isn't it? It's that Neuroblaster, the same as Vanessa Riddle.
Oscar Knox, his father Stephen Knox, and Solid Tim's.
Yeah, they're actually for Ireland. They were at the Cliftonville game. The father was on the park at the Cliftonville game at the weekend. So that's a great cause. I think they're looking to raise something like $250,000, is it? Mm-hmm. It's getting massive publicity here. I actually seen it in the Mirror, the Irish Mirror, today. And I was up in the hospital. The paper was lying, and there was a big picture of Joe Ledley. A big story about it. So no, hopefully that. And just say again one more time, Stephen, where you can get those bands.
It's inside the Forge shopping mall, which is just behind the cinema sort of thing. Is it just behind the Parkhead Forge shopping mall?
What is
it's in the bookshop where John Hartson done his book signings for. You follow John on Twitter, and they do the bands in there.
No bother. That's so everybody. You're near the Forge. You're walking past it at the weekend. Jump in there or get hold of the parrot on Twitter. And he's got a never-ending bank account. He'll sort you out, right? So, Paul, what about you? Relegation, or certainly to finish bottom of the league, whether they get relegated or not?
Hibs for me. I think they were a dreadful side last season. They've done nothing to strengthen it. In fact, it's got a hell of a lot worse.
You just try to wind your mates up, I think.
Well, I mean, the only saving grace they might have is Paul Kearney, the Partick Thistle, who is a good player. They've got him. But getting guys like McPake back, decent organiser, is a hopeless defender. Clancy at Motherwell, garbage. I didn't think Fenlon's a good manager. I don't think he's rated in the SPL. I think he made a complete and utter balls up here at the cup final. He couldn't even make a team compete against their biggest rivals in their biggest game ever. And I know that SPL managers didn't rate him at all. Okay. And so I've just got a funny feeling that, and I agree with Jason.
Didn't he go over the top, right? Just because I said he was a good manager, right? Just try to make me look like a fool.
He's hopeless. He's a hopeless manager. He signs crap players and he almost got them relegated.
I hope I prove you wrong.
And I just think that the whole club is disintegrating.
Okay.
I really do. Right. And I'm not just saying that as to dig at people. I think
to
tell you that.
Hibs, so far we've got Inverness, St Mirren and Hibs getting relegated the 3 years. And so Stephen went for Hibs as well. So
me as well. I think that Fenlon's got a wee bit about him. I think he'll turn it around with it.
I do as well. He's very, very highly rated manager here. Like everybody in Ireland speaks well of him. Like so. We'll see. Right. What order do I do this in? League Cup, Scottish Cup. Right, we'll go with the League Cup. I'm going to take Dundee United. As I took Dundee United to be runners up, I fancy Dundee United to get the League Cup. I don't think it's Celtic's trophy because I'm hoping Celtic. I don't see Celtic winning a treble for a start, right? Hoping Celtic's going to have plenty of big games in Europe. The League Cup is just a distraction. I maintain, as I've been saying for the last 2 years, I would play the entire development squad in the League Cup. I would promote it as the fact that we're playing a development squad in the League Cup for the entire competition. Even if they got to the final, it would still be the development squad. I think it would actually re-energise the competition. I think Celtic fans could buy into it if you got a proper PR campaign that we're really going to push these guys to win a trophy in the League Cup. You could bring fans back and to watch League Cup games if you really pushed it as a development squad. So I just don't think that'll be a priority for Celtic at all. The League Cup's only great if you win a treble. I know it's a cliche, but I just don't think it's a priority for Celtic. And if we've got big games in Europe and the League Cups, it's a trophy, it's early in the season and stuff like that. It's just not for us, I don't think. And I fancy Dundee United. I'm going to take Dundee United for the League Cup. Jason? I know it's just a bit of a lottery, so it's just a prediction. So.
I was thinking Dundee United myself, but I'll go Motherwell.
Okay.
I'll go Motherwell with the League Cup. Because the reason I'm doing it is I don't think we'll win the treble and all.
You just want to say something different for me.
Aye, but I just don't. I know. You were saying that. That sounded not bad. No, I'll go with Motherwell. I just think Art McCall's got something about him. I quite rate him as a manager. I think the way he got Art Motherwell playing last year in certain games, I thought they were really good. And as I said, our most important game for me last season was the game at Fir Park.
I was at that game just as you were saying that. I only made it across to a couple of games last season, and I have to say I went to that game with KK, who does the Hail Media Paradise Report podcast, and I have to say I was very impressed with Motherwell that day. Very impressed, eh?
Yep. I just looked into the chat room there, and Tony Cassidy's just saying that there's been a retirement post on Rangers Tax Case blog. So that's Mr. Rangers Tax Case hung his pen up. Yeah. His job's done.
Okay. So
there you go. For all the listeners there that enjoyed reading the guy's posts and that, obviously it was a very informative website.
Oh, definitely.
So, so he's...
even although I didn't have a clue what half it meant.
He's definitely done his bit for transparency in Scottish media terms for.
Would you reckon if it comes out that Peter Lobel was Rangers' tax case, would that be the end of Scotland?
No, he's got enough on his plate worrying about them. But the guys, I think even towards the end of towards like more recent times, even your journalists that sort of dissed him at the start, they all realise that this guy knows a hell of a lot more about this subject matter than we do. Because that's how we touched on the Rangers stuff in this podcast. None of us had really a clue what we're talking about. And I don't think many people in Scotland did.
I didn't have much a clue what I'm talking about anything, Jason.
Mr. Larkin, maybe, but to be honest with you, I don't really care about it because it doesn't really interest me that much. I laugh at them and stuff like that, but that isn't my game, and I'm more interested in Celtic and stuff like that. But as Harper said, you've got to wallow in your biggest rival's downfall, without a doubt. But the guy at Rangers tax case, I read it, and the guy was bang on the money just about every time he posted. Just about everything he posted came to fruition.
And Jason, just as well, and it's going back as what you're saying, no interest in that, but when you think about it, it's guys like your man there, Rangers tax case, and Phil McGillivray, and we've said this 100 times, but they were the catalyst for what happened. They kept it in at the front. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying Celtic fans brought down Rangers, but the online community certainly had a part to play, whether it was a small part. But these things, I don't think Sevco would be in Division 3 if this wasn't an internet generation. A lot of the stuff would have been swept under the carpet if you were still just getting everything. If there was no internet at the minute, if this was 15 years ago and you were still just getting everything reported to the press, I think they would have slipped out of that quite easily.
Absolutely, 100% agree with you.
Quite easily. So it was guys like Rangers Tax Case blog and Phil McGillivray and plenty of other people, too many to mention, I wouldn't either. Far more intelligent people than me, as you says. We just kind of got bits of the wee bits that we understood and got a laugh at it, and do you know what I mean? Other wee daft intros and that. But it was important. It was important to keep talking about it at that time and keep pushing it and keep pushing them. And because it made certain areas of the media realise that they couldn't hide it because it was so out there on the internet. So no, it was not.
And you actually got members of the media then coming in and saying, "Look, how can we compete with these guys? Because these guys are obviously professionals in that subject matter." And to be fair to the guy who wrote Rangers tax case, I mean, you could understand that he wrote it in layman's terms. He broke everything down so that mere mortals like me and you could actually read it and you could make head nor tail of what was happening. But the thing for me is the guy, proof is in the pudding, and everything that he predicted has came true. Everything. I don't think he get anything wrong. Because even he was never 100% sure of something, he always put a caveat. But see, a lot of the time he went for the jugular, and every time he went for the jugular at hand.
Right. I think it was very good though when guys like Spears tried to challenge him, and obviously because Graham thinks he's the only guy in Scotland who knows words with more than 8 letters, and the tax case would put him in a box. Like 20 words or whatever, and then Spears would be like, he wouldn't hear anything else for him. So that was refreshing to see.
Tax case is sent him to the golf. He's now commentating in golf.
Right, so we're drifting in it. We're nearly hitting the 2 hours here, and I'm trying to get going.
When the Cassidy speaks, we need to talk.
Oh, definitely. TC.
The Godfather spoke, so RTC had to get announced on the podcast.
That's him back to Dubai now. Do you know what I mean? There'll be no hassle now, so. So anyway, I got yours. I took Dundee United. You took Motherwell, Jason. Paul for the League Cup. I know we're saying the Cup's a bit of a lottery. I mean, anybody can win a cup.
League Cup, Celtic for the Scottish Cup.
So you're going for the treble.
Go for it, mate. Go for it.
So rambled on so long about this, I've lost interest.
Right. No, just hang up. You've got the button in front of you. What's your name again? Stephen.
Vincenzo, anything you like, David. I'll go for Aberdeen for the League Cup, Celtic for the Scottish Cup.
So you're going right. I'm not even writing yours down anyway, so it doesn't matter. And I took Celtic for the Scottish Cup. I think we'll get the double. Jason.
Scottish Cup Celtic for me.
Right. So. Right, everybody's takes it. Right, so the last prediction I want, and we can either call this Player of the Year or the Joe McKenna Kiss of Death, because I remember we didn't actually exactly do a prediction sort of thing, but we didn't, but it wasn't like I said this and that. But Joe was batting on about how there was absolutely no doubt Chris Commons would be Player of the Year last season. So we seen what happened to Chris Commons season after that. So I don't know if you want to call it Player of the Year or the Kiss of Death, but I've got this.
I'm going for Commons.
Right, wait, you can go first. Right? So what's your reasoning behind that?
I just think, I think towards the end of last season he was starting to find his feet again. Whatever it was a bit on way. It wasn't training. He'd fell out with the man. I don't know what went on, but something wasn't quite right with him last season for a large proportion of the season. I just think it's a new beginning for him, and I really rate the guy. I think it was what did we pay for him? 400,000.
I can't remember. It wasn't much anyway.
But I think he's a smashing player.
I think his big problem will be keeping fit. He's got a feeling about him. He's one of these guys who'll take a lot of bad tackles and that as well. And it'll all be about keeping him fit, but you'll not be far away with that, I would think.
I'm a James Forrest. I would take James Forrest to back up because I really rate the kid.
My own prediction here is I can't even believe I didn't even know if I should read it out because I can't even believe I've got it written here in front of me. If I'd said this, if I knew this was going to happen 2 years ago, I would have took myself out the balcony and shot myself or something like.
Samaras.
I've got Samaras down. Samaras has got to be. This has got to be the year of the Greek. I really feel that starting out in that left wing, I think he has the fans on his side now. But I think he's a confidence player. It's a big part of his game. If he's not expected to score goals, he's got to play that left wing. He's got to play that free roll stuff like that. I think this will, especially if we get to the Champions League, he'll be the most important player we have in that team, I think. And I think this will be the year of the Samaras. Only, though, if he stays the full season, because I think he could be a player that could end up going in January, maybe, because he's the kind of guy who could command money. And
one thing you've got to say about that is credit's got to go to Neil Lennon.
Oh, definitely. I mean,
it's Neil Lennon that's made him this player.
And I want to put my hands up. I feel that there's a lot of Celtic fans out there didn't like to say when they're wrong. I've never been so wrong about a player in my life. But I think back because I actually hated him. Do you know what I mean? I actually felt like I hated him when I seen him coming on the pitch. It was a terrible feeling.
I was never a fan.
It's a terrible feeling as a Celtic fan. Him and Gary Caldwell, the only guys that ever made me like that, right? But I'm completely turning around. I'm not saying I'm Team Samaras or anything like that, but I fancy him to be one of the most important players this season if we get a run in Europe. So I'm going to go Samaras. If he goes in January, I'm going for Ledley, but I don't know if I'm allowed to. But no, Samaras for me. Paul?
Joe Ledley, Mr. Consistency, third season, knows what it's all about now, seems to love playing for Celtic. One of the guys that just plays every week. He didn't notice him until he's not there, and I really think he'll be an outstanding player for us throughout the entire season next season.
Good shout. Stephen?
If he stays, Victor Wanyama. For me, if he stays, if he doesn't go, I'll back up Paul with Ledley. I mean, we won't get a run in Europe without Ledley for doing like the Stan Petrov job, but Victor Wanyama against Milan, it's very rarely you see an Italian player just standing off a player. You know what I mean? I'd probably say, I'm not giving him a kiss of death, but probably it could be Desai class. Just, it could have been wearing slippers on Saturday in that pitch.
You know, you're right, man. I've went for Commons, right? I just think it's maybe a flair player gets goals and stuff like that. But I totally agree with you. Victor Wanyama's head and shoulders above anybody in that team as far as I'm concerned. I think he could play with any team on the planet.
Don't get me wrong, up in the Parrots lair where I'm sitting this season in the second half when Wesley Sneijder turned on for 10 minutes, he sort of went right, gave himself a shakedown and started spraying the ball about. But he was excellent, but Victor Wanyama just stood out to me tremendously, just exceptional player. And I hope it wasn't just turning it on for the Arsenal and Man U scouts, as I said in Graham's show on Saturday, but to me, if we keep him for the year, we'll be very lucky.
No,
yeah, but I agree.
I can't argue with any of that. The only thing I would say, I wouldn't read too much into the performance against Inter Milan, because I think that was like their first pre-season game, so I wouldn't read too much into that. But no, Victor Wanyama's he's definitely going to be there or thereabouts. When the Lost Boys thing, we had I get the guys to vote online and everything, and we run up a points tally for the season. Victor Wanyama was just picked by Charlie Mulgrew I think by a point at the end of the season for our tally on performances for the entire season. So Victor Wanyama he's a guy who I hope we hang on to But you wouldn't be surprised if he moved for big money. But I think he'll be there for the season. I think we'll get another season of him. Hopefully. That it? He's still there.
Stuff.
Somebody fainted. What's happening?
No. I'm
Right.
just
What I have
reflecting.
what I have to do here is right, because I'm going to end up forgetting. And I've got a poem that was sent to me, right, for Caesar James on Twitter, and he's dedicating this to his mother, and he's got a big shout out here, right? So I'm going to have to try and get all these names right now, because I'm just reading it off my Twitter. I forgot to take. I was totally disorganised today, right? And I was meant to write all this down, but anyway, he's dedicating this to his mum, and he couldn't have wished for a better mother anyway. So anyway, he's dedicating this to his mother, and he's got a shout out here to, let me see, to his mum Harriet, sister Denise, in-law Jamie, brothers Vinny, Tony, Pat, Mary McDade, Ralph and Trisha, young Ralph, Pat, the twins, Donna and Tina O'Connor, sister-in-law Alison and Carol Ann, nephew Stephen's wife, and the Laura McDowell family, Georgie, Janie, Paul and Mark. And if he's forgot anybody else, then they know who they are. Did you know anything, Jason? Huh?
The Waltons.
The Waltons, So it's a very good poem. I was talking with Robbie Burns earlier. It's kind of in that style where it's written in a kind of way that I didn't really understand. Do you know what I mean? It's very good. Like, so just, oh shit.
It isn't right.
No, it's written kind of fancy, arty if you like.
Instead of a poem, it's a collection of words.
Yeah, no, I can't find it.
Is it banjo player style, or is it old Scottish style or something?
Yeah, no, here it goes, right. So here's the poem for James. James Dunphy, his name is. Caesar James on Twitter. It was, and I hope I can do this justice. It was Double's year, 88. What had been fought over out of reach. A thing were thought, and it was something like this. Let's celebrate a sum with a number of rules breached. Let's title achieve, peoples deceive, and football aggrieve. Let's plea bereft the public FD. Let's know the man a fan, brains to scan. Let's media who with sanity skew. Let's go with the new co. Let's summon gloom, warning impending doom. Let's meet and greet the foes to defeat. Let's put up our hands but naturally armed. Let's reprobate the big house gate. Let's like the Caribbean doorman and admit defeat. Let's settle down to claiming a crown. Let's go to 3 to fuck the bully wee. Let's give praise to our God's ways. Reply, maybe. But let's you could have him, but let's not. I thought that was excellent. You there?
Mm-hmm. Aye.
I thought that was excellent. I especially liked the wee bit about the Caribbean defeat. The Caribbean doorman. Defeat. Admit defeat. I know, very good. No, so that was James Dunphy, and I hope I read out your shout out. And thanks for sending us that email. I said on Twitter earlier today I would have a competition for DVDs and books and all that, right? And I've no. It'll have to be next week because I've no blank DVDs and I'm skint. And I went for a nap this afternoon and I slept too long and I never got a competition organised and I'm completely off the ball. Paul, have you anything for us? Competition wise? You don't have to. We can save it to next week.
I'll keep it to next week.
Keep it to next week.
That I've got a book out tomorrow and...
Geese the big shout out. Obviously I'll have the blog will be up on Lost Boys, the Hail Media Lost Boys page, so get
you can get through Lost Boys with a blog about it there. I'll blog about it at midnight tonight. 100 copies only, split up. It'll all be explained on the blogs how to buy them and how many there is, and hopefully they'll all be sold by the time we have our launch, which is a bit bizarre. It's made a celebration on the internet, Bamport's on a launch, and it'll be out tomorrow via Lulu, via the Kindle store, via Amazon, and via myself for iPad copies. And a donation will be going to mental health charities in Scotland and New York, which will all be explained in the blogs as well. And as I say, there's only 100 copies, so once they're gone, it's gone. And also about the book launch, we asked for names yesterday. We've already got 105, so if you want to go to it, get in touch ASAP because I would expect it to be full by probably the end of the week, the way things are going. So it'll be available in all these outlets tomorrow. go to the Lost Boys tomorrow, go to my blog tomorrow, you'll see all the details, I'll tweet them all, and just wire in.
And tune in to HomeBhoys next week, because I think you're going to be giving away a signed copy, are you?
Yes, I will, I will indeed.
So tune in to HomeBhoys.
I'll do a competition for that.
Happy days. Just before I ask you if there's anything else to add, I had another guy there sent me a message on Skype at the start of the show. I completely forgot. This guy, Del Boy Hislop, right? Hi guys, loving the show. Any chance of a wee shout out? I'm touring European CSCs for a year, starting in September. He's going to be blogging and interviewing European hoops fans, getting the Tim Sing songs going with the guitar, and visiting as many countries as possible. Hell. Also looking for contacts in European CFCs. So if anyone has any, please contact me via Twitter at DelBoyHislop. So it's DelBoyHyslop. That's DelBoyHislop. Cheers, boys. Great show. So if you've got a contact now, you CFC somewhere in Europe, Delboy's got to be touring Europe for a year, and he's got to come in.
Bastard.
That's brilliant. I can't even.
Touring Europe for a year.
I've barely got the bus fare to Dublin. You know what I mean?
If the guys listening to the show, Dave, if he contacts CelticBars.com website, that's Davey McIntyre. He's on Twitter as Celtic Bars, and Davey's got our email and phone numbers. Every boozer in the world, it's a Celtic boozer.
That's a good shout, Stephen. It's a good shout.
He's a mate of mine. He's on my Facebook, Steve Monaghan. Tell the guy you had me, and I'll put him in touch with Davey. Davey lives down in Newcastle now. He's from Dumbarton. Excellent guy, top bloke.
So if you add Delboy, if you're still listening, if you add Stephen on Twitter, which is I can't remember, it's Macrae72. How do you spell it?
Mike Alpha Charlie Hotel Romeo India Echo 72.
Jesus, with all that, there's only about 10 characters left. That's a lengthy name.
If he adds me, I'll put him on to Celtic Bars. That's Davey on Twitter as well. It's just saying he knows me, he'll be alright.
No bother. I'm not sure. I don't think I've got anything to add. Other shout-outs to that, blah, blah. I didn't care anybody else sent me anything. I can't remember.
Can I just say I've already got a copy of Paul's book, and it's fantastic. Just started it today, Paul. Really enjoying it, mate. It's really, really. You know that I've only ever got your last book for the last book launch, but this it's like getting into Waterstones and pick one up, mate. It's Gucci.
Wait a minute. How have you got one already and it's not out till tomorrow?
Because Paul advertised it last week on Twitter.
And what you know is, what did you think about the layout?
Fantastic, David. I've seen your.
I should say, actually, there was 20 pre-orders that came out, and I would say, when two question, about 6 of them all said it looks fantastic, you know, the layout and stuff like that, which would have been hard, but compared to the other ones, but it does add so much to the book, and everybody will say it, because it's, I actually, you know, not just saying this, I very rarely get criticised for my writing, apart from fucking snobs. No, but the one thing that I always got criticised for was page numbers, and now they're on it, so if you can't buy it now, you never will.
Happy days.
Can I just add one thing, Paul? I know there was a bit of a ding dong that a Celtic do last month. Is the booze up? Blackfriars quite a bit. It's a bit of a trendy jazz players pub. Are they okay? People wearing colours in it after the game and that down the stair?
You're not invited.
Come on.
I never thought about that.
Because obviously where it is, it's quite
it's fine.
Aye, because you get in the side door. You can get in the side door and down the stairs. Don't even the bar up the stairs. That'll be fine.
We're not in the bar. We're in the basement. It's ours. We've hired it. That's it. So keep parrot and piss off.
It's a private function. You do it wherever you want.
I'm going anyway. We can do what we want.
We'll just don't wear Mets gear then. Nobody minds a bit of Mets gear in the big city. That's what I say.
I can't see Paul turning up with that one.
I'll buy Mr. Larkin a hat.
So, Paul, Jason, anything you want to add? I suppose just because I'll go out my head if I didn't say it right away. Lost Boys have come out the wilderness and released a podcast today, number 140, which I think was supposed to be number 139, but it's up for 140. So they boys are back, and for what I've heard, it's interesting. I've not listened to it myself yet. But Jamie, Jerry, and Chris are back, the three amigos. So you'll find that they're not actually. I think the separate Lost Boys iTunes feed is now finished since we've moved the site. So you'll get the Lost Boys podcasts on the Hail Hail Media feed, the same place you get everything else for Hail Hail Media. And just when talking about Hail Hail Media, I don't know if you've seen me, I tweeted earlier today, we actually burst the 200,000 plays and downloads mark for such a short period of time. It's quite remarkable. There's been 203 episodes on the channel since it started up. So if you break that down, it's just around 1,000 an episode. We know some shows get more and some episodes get less. Some shows are still building up. But by the end of this season, I'm more than confident we'll actually break through 500,000 plays and downloads by the end of this season. Which, when you think about it, just some guys, amateurs, sitting about in their bedrooms, their dining rooms, stuff like that on Skype. It's unbelievable. It's quite remarkable to think in about 7 or 8 months' time we'll have had 500,000 people play, and obviously it's repeat people, but still 500,000 plays and downloads is unbelievable. I'll be looking for a sponsor for Guinness soon or something like that.
And I think it's when you know the figures, because obviously you've shared it with us, and it's every corner of the world where people are downloading this stuff from. And the guys that even phone the shows, I mean, on the Mets boys, we've got guys for Hawaii, Philadelphia, St. Louis, and San Francisco phoning the show regular. And you just say this random guy for Hawaii, they call him Aloha Mick. And his name's Michael for Hawaii, he's a regular on the show now, and you're just saying to yourself, bloody hell, it just shows you how internet bam pottery, how far it can get you.
And what I would say as well, anybody who's listening to this and you're maybe, and it's building all the time, new listeners all the time, we're still only scratching the surface of Celtic fans. I firmly believe that. There's new listeners all the time, and if you're listening to this and you've never tuned in live before, if you can catch us live, don't be afraid to call in. There's some weeks we get 10 callers, some weeks like the night we only had a couple. But don't be afraid to call in. It's down to earth. Nobody's going to shoot you down. It's all friendly banter. There's nobody going to attack you. That. So just add HomeBhoys on Skype. Same with Beyond the Waves show. The Mets boys, they're the 3 live show. Just add them on Skype, call in. You'll be more than welcome on any of those shows in the Hail Media channel. So it's going to go from strength to strength. I think it's all going well.
Because I think more and more people are finding sort of this media outlet through smartphones and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And everybody's got it at their fingertips nowadays. And but there's still, as you say, there's still loads more untapped support out there. Because older people and things like that are getting computers now and they're like finding out about this kind of stuff. And exactly, mate. You know, I'm just using myself as an example.
just quick then before we wrap up, we've actually just had a call just as we were about to finish there, but just Del Boy Hislop, who we were talking about there, is actually called in, so I take it you're going to fill us in a wee bit more about your travel around Europe, Del Boy.
I was phoning up to first of all to thank you for the shout out, and second of all, when the boy was reading out all the phonetic alphabet for the guy I was meant to get in touch with, I was writing Charlie Victor and all that as he was saying it and ran out of paper. But like I say, thanks for the plug, guys. We're actually leave at the start of September, and I've already been in touch with the supporters clubs in Brussels, Madrid, and wee Gregor for the huddle, for Celtic TV. He's given me a wee handout as well with contacts and stuff. So we're hoping to go through France, Spain, Italy, Germany, Czech Republic, Slovenia, and then the wee, like Luxembourg and wee daft places like that, and basically just to visit the Celtic supporters clubs, get a bit of perspective for the boys in Europe about how they see things happening over here at the minute as well, and obviously also to share a good bit of company and get a few good sing-songs going as well, and hopefully make a pretty decent bit of reading with the blog,
Del Boy. How long is it going to take you, mate?
Well, we're planning to go for a year.
How many? But see, when you say we, is it you and your partner, or is it mates, or?
I've got my cameraman stroke cook cleaner. she's my co-pilot,
And you're writing a book, so you're doing a blog, but you're going to put it in print and write a book at the end of it.
Hopefully, we're hoping to do that, But basically, just we decided to go travelling for a year. I was more concerned about I'm not going to get to see the games, so we kind of thought, well, I need to try and fund the supporters clubs in it. Just the idea that it's a great opportunity to do something here,
So now I'm getting the picture, right? Now I'm getting a kind of picture that it's you and the bird, right? and says, right, we'll go travelling for a year, and you're thinking, wait a minute, I need to see the football at the same time. So no, that's perfect, man. Good thinking. I like that.
So is it only Europe, or you going worldwide after you've touched Europe?
Well, it's
That's
funny
season
that,
2.
A few people have got in touch through Twitter and says, you fancy doing an American one? You know, and I was jumping at the chance, you know, but I think we'll get this European one under our belt first and then take it from there, you know, and see how it goes. But it's going to be interesting, at least, I know that.
When you do the American one, I can tell you right now, if you're looking for somebody to come and do a live broadcast, I'm available for hire. Not a problem.
Oh, right, I'll keep that in mind, mate. Aye.
Not a problem.
We can get a good few stop-ups as well.
No, but listen, man, see
Sure you can.
when you're on the travels with the CSCs and that, man, and your places, keep in contact, man. Keep calling us in and keep us updated where you are, and keep sending us the blogs, and we'll post it and retweet it and all that kind of stuff. Share it on Facebook and follow your journey, man.
Del boy, get a Monday night into your calendar whenever you're in Europe in case if you call in.
Aye.
That could be a update for everybody.
I'll get that marked down. That'd be an idea,
Aye, definitely. That sounds great.
If you contact David, his website's celticbars.com, and he's got every
Nah, no way. Right at the very end.
Can you hear me?
He's cut off there. Somebody cut off Paul. Jason, these are back on now.
We're alright. Is it still recording?
It's still recording. It was dead at my end, so you had about 20 seconds of dead air there. And me going, oh my God.
I could hear you.
You could hear me?
Aye.
There was no sound then coming up out the speakers though, apart from me then, so there's just been me going, oh my God. But yous are back, so...
I'm still here, boys.
On you go, mate.
Sorry, if you go to Davy McIntyre's website, celticbars.com, and the front of it, it's like a big clock with a Heineken bottle on it, and he's got every bar in the world.
Aye, well, because I've actually been on the Celtic Bar site, and I've had a couple of emails back for Davy, and it says basically Lee at Wayman's going to get a list of contact details to me, but I also emailed every Celtic supporters club on the website. And dropped the Cyber Tim's name in because I get in touch with the Cyber Tim's boys and asked if because I was looking for somewhere where I could post a blog that people could actually read it, you know, because I've never done anything like this before, but obviously I've read a lot of blogs and I mean it's fantastic reading, you know, and it's just I never knew that the whole Hail Media and that was going, you know, and it's I mean I've been listening since every night if I could, downloading something and listening to podcasts and the whole shows and stuff, you know, it's fantastic.
Don't want to bother with Europe, mate. Get to Rio de Janeiro, the Fergus McCann #1 in Pina Square, and you'll just go missing for a year. That's what I did, isn't it? That's a good knees up in there.
I can imagine. Well, listen, again, thanks very much for the wee bit of publicity there, boys. And like I say, anybody that can get in touch with any contact details, or even if you live in Europe, to meet up for a wee chat and give a wee bit of your info and that, it's at Delboy Hislop on Twitter. And like I say, thanks again for the help, boys. And,
I'll retweet your name for the HomeBhoys here on Twitter, and Stephen can follow you and whatever, and you can sort all that out. And I'll tweet anyway for Twitter after the show. Your name, and people can follow you.
I'll add you, mate, as well. And if you're anywhere near the Basque Country, if you want to go to Bilbao, I'll sort you out a few contacts there.
Oh, superb, good stuff.
All right, mate.
Anyway, thanks a lot, boys.
Right, cheers, man.
Cheers, pal. Bye bye.
Just before we finish, what?
Paul's been cut off.
Paul's sent me a message. His Skype's playing up. Just before we go, I've had loads and loads of messages sent to me in the last hour, and it was on Sky Sports News that they're saying Celtic's officially made a loan approach to Norwich for this boy Vaughan on loan. So seemingly it's official that they're going for this guy on loan. So.
I think he's all right. I've seen him play with Everton loads of times. He was a well thought youngster and just didn't reach his potential. But he's got in his locker, and it's their job in Scotland for sure. I'm sure of that.
I think he's better than Darryl Murphy, isn't he?
Aye, big time.
So anything you want to add? I can't believe we're nearly hit. We were saying the other day, me and you were saying, Jason, that there's not really much to talk about because we've only done a show on Thursday, and that's us nearly hit 2.5 hours. So. Anything else you want to add before we go?
No, I just look forward to Wednesday night and looking forward to Saturday. Just can't wait to get in about it.
Happy days.
No, all I can think is, Dave, I mean, I'm sitting with the boys on Wednesday night. As I say, I said at the end of last season, the boys that did a strip, I'll touch base with them and buy them a pint. I'll see if I can get them to do the Hail Media on the front of the strip one day, and we'll hang it just above the Green Brigade, and it'll get everything focused up for his mate, because he's doing a great job on the show, you know what I mean?
Happy days, man. Thanks very much.
It might cost me a few house reds, a buck fast, but more than worth it.
Where are you off Wednesday? Where you going for a beer?
A coffee for me, Jason. I'm meeting. I'm going to meet Paul, and then I'm meeting down the Gallagher or something.
I'm working the town on Wednesday anyway. No, I'll just be going straight to the game. So I'll contact you and I'll come meet you for a pint before the game.
Cool, guy. I look forward to seeing you.
All right.
Like a spending words for without Jordan night, you know what I mean? It's the spare box is empty.
I was going to run a wee competition earlier on to see what was going to be the most popular excuse for his no-shows this season. His kamikaze children, his dinner parties, his work that nobody actually knows what he does.
It's a Von Trapp family.
He says
he's musical kids.
He says he's a journalist, but he's a bit like Clark Kent. Like nobody's ever actually seen him with a notepad in his hand. So I don't know what he's up. You wouldn't know what he's up to, that boy. But no, he definitely had a kind of. I shouldn't be joking because they had a kind of family, a serious kind of family thing happened today. So. Nah, but Joe knows, even if he listens back, he knows it's all good spirit and banter and that. He'd be ripping the piss out of us, whatever. So, it's all good. Joe will be back next week. And just to anybody who's thinking, we've been Thursday last week, we were doing Tuesdays because we were a Monday, and we moved off the Monday because one of Joe's kids took up karate, but... we're moving back to Monday, and we're staying on Monday. And it won't change for Monday. It'll take something really drastic to move us off the Monday spot. Maybe just be a one-off when we do a Tuesday that. But we'd like to keep it the same place. A Monday night's perfect. It's the weekends, the game's still fresh in your mind. Then you've got a lot of midweek games with Europe and stuff like that. So it'll be a Monday night for the rest of the season going forward. I just suppose to get a shout out to other shows. Lost Boys, as I said, the podcast there came out today. Temporary Stand had a shorter podcast there with Scott and the boys, Fra and I can't remember their boys' name. They done a podcast came out last night. Mets Boys had the podcast come out, which obviously the baseball. And we have I'll give Housey a shout out. Housey came back 2 weeks ago, so Housey's back every Friday night spinning your tunes and doing your shout outs, and he'll be doing plenty swearing. Don't worry about that. Him and Shifty Shooks. So that's us boys, isn't it?
I can just one last thing, David.
That's all you keep saying.
I'm trying to convert Paul to becoming a Mets fan. Who? I was walking down my brother Paul was walking down London Road on Saturday, and I says, because Frankie's on January or something, Frankie Fraser, and I'm going to give him a couple of Stone Island hats, and he's giving me a couple of Mets hats, so I'm going to try and convince Paul to become a Mets fan. That's my mission this season.
Can't listen to the Mets boys.
I will too. But cheers for letting us on, and I look forward to seeing you Wednesday, Jason.
Aye, no worries, mate. I'll tie up these and get a wee beer reason before the game.
Cool, gang. I'm Mellow Birds.
Brilliant. Right, just going to say, I'm going to play it again this week with our absent co-host song, Joe McKenna's "A Boy," which is the charity single, which was written, recorded by Joe McKenna. Association with Hail Media and CelticMinded.com, and is dedicated to the late Bobby Hughes, and all the money for this song is going to charity. You get it on iTunes. If you just Google, just search on iTunes "A Boy," Joe McKenna, or you can get it on Bandcamp.com. Search "A Boy," Joe McKenna, and every single bit of profit for this song is going to the York Hill sick kids hospital.
Yep.
So that's what we're playing out tonight, and we'll probably be playing out that for a wee while, and with a bit of luck you'll be hearing it played at Celtic Park just shortly. Right guys, speak to you all next week.
Thanks very much guys.
Cheers. Hail.
Bye.
On a cold grey morn, on a Glasgow street, a young boy in torn clothing has a ball at his feet. He shouts, "Daddy, I'll play for Celtic, I'm gonna be a superstar." He says, "Go out there and get it, son, show the jungle who you are." "Daddy, I'll be a striker, I'll be deadly round the box. I'll win the treble, conquer Europe, and score the winner at Ibrox." He was a boy, and he'd always wanted to be a boy. He was a boy, and he'd always wanted to be a boy. He goes pushing through the turnstiles with the old man by his side. He hears stories of Brother Walford and the day John Thompson died, of Tully and of Johnson, and of Caesar and Jock Stein. And being captain in the huddle would always be his childhood dream. But time had moved so quickly, and his dreams are way back when. And the old man's seat sits empty. They say he died stopping at 10. He was a boy, and he'd always wanted to be a boy. He was a boy, and he'd always wanted to be a boy. Now his own son stands beside him, and among the sea of green, he shows promise with the football, and he grows to live the dream. Come his granddad's anniversary, he's Captain Derby Day. He issues orders to the huddle, wearing the number of McStay. The crowd, they roar around him as the ball comes to his feet. He drops his shoulder like McCourt, and only the keeper now to beat. He runs to the old jungle, his finger pointed to the skies. He pumps his fist towards an old man, and there's tears in both their eyes. Now he's a boy, 'cause he'd always wanted to be a boy. He was a boy, he always wanted to be a boy. Like Tommy Burns in the big road, he only wanted